Hey everybody.
Okay.
Here we are. We are live
In the same place.
in the same place.
Look at this.
And I don't think we have an echo this time. So.
Which is good. I can hit Ryan from here. He didn't like that. It's all right. I tried.
It's good to have you here, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Cheers.
Hey, cheers. Ryan.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. So we've got a long show planned for tonight.
We do.
So buckle in. We got some fun stuff at the top of the show. If you're watching us live, this is going to be one long show. But for our podcast, I believe it's going to be two different shows. So we got a double feature for you here tonight. So yeah, let's just get right into it.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So, hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This Podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And tonight we are talking about one of my favorite films from last year. Ghostbusters Afterlife will be our first topic. And then after that, we are going to get into a motion picture that's nominated for many Academy Awards.
It's like a lot of them, right?
It's a lot of them.
And Oscars, too.
Yeah, the Academy Awards are the Oscars.
Oh, are they really? They were
Yeah.
different things. Whoops,
No.
sorry.
Yeah. So I'm going to take off these headphones because I can hear myself a little bit. And it's driving me crazy. But before we get into that, we just watched some trailers from over the weekend that just came out. We're going to talk about a few of them, but we're going to talk first about a trailer that just came out today that I had an image for, but I forgot to pull it in before we went live. So, the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers trailer dropped today for the Disney Plus movie starring Andy Samberg and John Mulaney. And we want to talk about it because we all had some thoughts on it.
I love this is what we start with, by the
Yeah.
way. Like, we're going to get to Academy Awards, but we're starting with Chip and Dale.
Yeah, you gotta build up to that.
You gotta build up to
Good,
that. Man.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited for this movie. I was excited when they announced the cast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even more excited to know who's behind the scenes of this, and the extended cast of this film just looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But you got to go into your thing because you're the reason why I'm excited about this.
Yeah. Okay, so my big thing is I'm the only movie that's ever had like a CGI cartoon character in a live action movie that I've liked has been the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And that's because he's an alien. And there's really no other ones like him on Earth, and it's and just the way that it's made, it fits, it's fine. Mm-hmm. That doesn't fall into my pet peeves like with like Garfield has and
the Smurfs.
Like the Smurfs and stuff like that. This one cements itself in a world with Roger Rabbit, because Roger Rabbit does a cameo within the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler because it's a trailer, so it doesn't matter. But Roger Rabbit is in the trailer and is a character along with other animated people, meaning that this world is the same film universe as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which means there's a Toontown, which means toons exist already, and humans and cartoon characters coexist.
If cameos and trailers are spoilers at this point, we're not going to be able to talk about the trailer later on.
Right. So, I mean, does this mean it's a spiritual successor to Who Framed Roger Rabbit then? Like, you think it's literally set in that world?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can buy that. I can also buy it as Roger Rabbit's an actor who starred in a film in the 80s called Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
There's that too.
The thing that worries me, though, is that, like, at some point I saw, like, the ponies from My Little Pony walk by, and I went, like, oh no, are they doing a Space Jam thing?
I mean, it's only Disney characters. I only saw Disney characters. I don't know what you're talking about.
The ponies from My Little Pony were there. Like,
there were ponies.
You saw the tops of their heads, and they're like little like rainbow-shaped butts.
I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought they were there, but like...
I don't have as much of a history with My Little Pony as you do,
evidently. I don't have a history with My Little Pony.
So...
I have to say, I did watch the Toys That Make Us thing on My Little Pony, which I will say is the best The Toys That Made Us.
Is it really?
Oh, it is.
Oh.
There is so much about that toy that I did not realize.
Okay.
And oh my god, it's so good. I never played with My Little Pony, but
yeah.
That episode on that toy and like the creation of it and like the backstabbing that went on creating that toy is just amazing.
The backstabbing behind My Little Pony?
You need to see it, yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to see it. No, I'm with you. I'll do it.
Yeah, I actually was able to pull up the image here.
Oh, you did? Yeah, it's right by me.
So, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, that was a fun trailer that dropped today while we were doing some other stuff, and we're like, hey, we should talk about this on the show.
Yeah.
So here we are talking about it.
We did it.
But there were some other trailers that dropped over the weekend. There was this sports thing that happened.
Just say it.
There
Just
was
say it.
the Super Bowl.
Thank you.
We're not going to get into the details of the game because
it's us.
legally we're not allowed to.
Oh, right, you're not.
Yeah, no, we're not.
But we're going to talk about the advertising. We can talk about that a bit.
Okay, we can talk about that.
I didn't pull up an image just for the commercials, but did you guys have any favorite commercials from the Super Bowl this year?
I have. You go.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
the one commercial that like made me feel any type of emotion at all was the one with LeBron James when he's like talking to himself as a kid. I don't even know what company it was for, but just the fact that like they had LeBron James there, they had him talking to himself as, you know, like right when he got pretty much drafted to play in the NBA, just kind of like reassuring himself that everything will be okay.
Yeah.
Like I really liked that, and I kind of connected to it. Why, I have no idea, but I did.
That's good though.
And then there were a host of others that I found funny. But, meaning like Jim Carrey and the Cable Guy, redoing his Cable Guy role, that was good.
That was good, yeah. That was one of the two that I would bring up. The other one that I bring up is God. It's such an LA story, but I'm so excited because you guys have to hear me do this. So was it E-Trade?
Yeah.
With the baby, where they brought the E-Trade baby back?
Pete Holmes' E-Trade baby.
Pete Holmes' E-Trade baby, which I really love because I love Pete Holmes. But in that trailer, two people walk off of the helicopter. One of them I don't know. One of them is somebody I did comedy with for 3 years named Ambika. She's amazing. She's so funny. And I'm glad she's in a Super Bowl trailer now. Also, like, good job, Ambika. Well done.
You should get her on the show.
I would. Oh my God, I should get her on the show. If you're watching, Ambika, which I know you're not, you should definitely be on our show.
We'll post that bit on Instagram. And
Please
tag
do.
her.
Please.
Yeah.
We'll just, make sure she gets it.
She's
me,
going to see this and go, man, that dork? No,
Oh,
I don't.
Devin. Oh my gosh. Oh, that guy. Oh.
So before halftime, I didn't really have any snack foods for the game, so I was like, I'm going to go to McDonald's. I was like, oh, do I want to order Uber Eats? As I'm going out the door to get McDonald's, the Uber Eats commercial came on that had all the celebrities.
Yeah. That
Where
was a good one.
Gwyneth Paltrow takes a bite out of her vagina-scented candle. And it's like, oh, that tastes weird.
Yeah. Is that really what happened? Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I missed that part.
So that was a good one.
Ugh.
I also enjoyed the T-Mobile commercial with Zach Braff and Donald Faison, where they sing a parody of "I Feel Pretty," because I need more scrubs in my life.
Yes, we all do.
What was the other one I enjoyed? Eugene Levy
Oh, of course.
in the was it, Mazda Z?
For the introduction of the Nissan 400Z,
Yeah.
which that's what I care about. You guys care about Eugene
actors.
Levy.
Yeah.
I care about the car.
Of
I care about
course.
the
Of course.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I have Super Bowl commercial wise.
I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, but there were some trailers.
Yes.
Let's start off with Doctor Strange. 'Cause that's evidently the order I have them in now.
Perfect.
So the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness trailer dropped. There was a teaser. There was a TV spot
Yeah.
in the game, and then the trailer dropped online.
Yeah.
So Devin, you saw the TV spot.
I saw both, but apparently I wasn't paying attention or like listening to it, so I missed the big cameo.
The big cameo, of course, being Scarlet Witch. No. Did you guys know Doctor Strange is in this movie?
What?
Multiple times.
What?
No, the big cameo being Jean-Luc Picard himself.
I really hope they make some type of Star Trek reference. I really do.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't care at all about X-Men being in the MCU, even a little bit. I don't care. I don't want them there. I think it's better without them. I'll take Sir Patrick Stewart though. Like I'll take him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't need a Wolverine. I don't need a Cyclops. I don't need a Gambit.
Even though the rumors of who might play him that have been going around.
Which one?
Harry Potter.
Might play who?
Wolverine.
Really?
Think about him.
Yeah,
Think
He's
about
the
his
right
height.
the guy that's playing Weird Al.
Think
Yeah.
about his height. Think of him with a beard. Have him bulk up.
I can see him being very good for the role. I can.
Daniel Radcliffe would be perfect for Logan.
I I can see it. I really can.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want him in there. Like, I don't know if I want him next to like Captain America.
Jess got a good question. What did X-Men ever do to you, Devin?
Yeah.
I have such a weird relationship with X-Men though. So like I saw like 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Like the original run. I got like forced to watch First Class. And that's
First
it.
Class is probably the best one.
It was fine. I think it was fine. I think X-Men are a really hard sell for me, much like the Fantastic Four.
Okay,
Like,
so how do you feel about Deadpool joining the MCU?
yeah, all on board.
So you
But
can't have
that's
him without
X-Men.
the X-Men.
Yeah, but you can't have him without the X-Men. Like you had his movies ostensibly without the X-Men.
No,
But
they
it's in
were
the world
there.
of the X-Men.
Yeah.
I don't care that he's in the world. He interacted with like 2 X-Men and then like
4.
and they were in the background for a sight gag once. I'll take that in the MCU.
He went to the
all day.
mansion,
Yeah, fine, but it was suspiciously empty. Like they could only afford 1 X-Man.
which they made a joke about in the movie.
That was the joke. I did the joke.
So
No, they made the joke in the film about
no,
not having the money.
Right, I made the joke that they made in the film just now.
Okay,
yeah.
there we go.
Yeah, like
Clarification.
But I'm fine with it. I don't. They're not. I guess they're not interesting enough for me. Like, and I guess maybe I just have a bad read on the X-Men or something. But like,
you might. We're gonna have to watch some X-Men movies before Multiverse of
we're
Madness.
gonna have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also gonna have to watch some Sam Raimi stuff because this is a Sam Raimi joint.
Okay.
He's directing it.
Okay. Okay.
Sadly, we've watched all of his Spider-Man films.
What haven't I seen from Sam Raimi?
I know Ryan has a baseball movie with Sam Raimi directing.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so Professor Xavier is supposedly in Doctor Strange,
It's fine. That's
setting
fine.
up the Illuminati in the MCU. No, the Marvel
That's not a
Illuminati.
joke.
It's a thing. Like it's
Yeah,
a thing in the
that's
comic
not a
books.
joke.
Oh, I thought that was a joke.
No, it's
No.
not a joke.
So wait, Marvel has an Illuminati now?
Yeah, it's
what?
in the comics. It's Xavier, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, Black Bolt, and Iron Man.
Oh, that's cool. One of them is dead.
One of them might be. Well, we have a multiversal Illuminati, so there might be another one played
Oh,
by a
fair.
certain actor who likes missions who
Hold
are
on.
impossible.
Why is that a rumor? Because I've seen that rumor
So
actually.
the
Why do people
the
think
Tom
that?
Cruise being in this movie rumor is because Tom Cruise was originally supposed to play Tony Stark for the MCU,
Oh.
but it fell through.
Mm.
And there have been leaked images of him that I don't believe at all.
Okay,
Like,
good. Because I'm not making a bet about this.
Like I believe leaked images about Spider-Man. Like if you wanted to make a bet about Tom Cruise being in this movie, I'd be
won't.
down for it because I don't believe he's in it.
No, because it's so hard for me to pay off on that bet.
Speaking of payoffs on bets,
I know it's happening. I almost went to New York for it. It didn't work out with the flights,
yeah,
but I
that's
almost
okay. Just
You
remember,
can do it here.
did. I'll do it. I
if
can
it
do
does,
here.
you have until the next MCU film. If it doesn't happen then
Is it Doctor Strange?
we
Is
break
it this
the
one?
legs. Yeah, May. You have until May.
Okay, good. I will do it by May.
Yeah. But I feel like we might have to make a bet for this one.
Oh, we'll make a bet for all of them.
A
I'll
strange
make.
bet. But did you guys take a look at the poster that we have up on screen right now? Did you see any of the Easter eggs in that?
No,
I heard
haven't
that
seen
Monica
it.
Rambeau might be in it.
The- Might be. I think the people who think that's Monica Rambeau. There's also a subset of people who think that's Superior Iron Man, like a different Iron Man from a different.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, right.
Because I don't think Monica Rambeau has a mustache.
Oh, did the silhouette have a mustache?
If you look at it, it kind of looks like it was.
I didn't even see that. No.
Yeah.
Who else might be in it?
Captain Carter from What If.
That's
If
cool.
you look at the poster, I can maybe blow it up. Let's see if I can find it. If you look at the poster here.
Oh yeah.
Where is it? Right. I know it's here somewhere. On one of these shards is supposedly her shield.
So I mean,
Oh,
essentially.
there it is. It's
Oh, off to the side there.
yeah, right in here. That's her shield. I don't know if I can get it any bigger. That's what she said.
That's
yeah,
fine.
right in
I
there.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I asked this off stream, but just make sure, like, I need to finish What If now.
Probably not
Yeah.
a bad idea. I'm just gonna let the posters cover you completely, Devin.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It would be like Monsters Inc. I'm on a magazine.
I don't think Tom Cruise is confirmed. I think there will be an Iron Man in it. I think that will be part of the Illuminati.
Okay.
I think it'd be weird to see Tom Cruise in a supporting role.
I think it's
think
about time, though.
I think
Only
it'd be just
the only
fine.
time I've ever seen him in a supporting role was in Tropic Thunder.
Austin Powers.
That's a cameo.
Okay, you're right.
Um,
Was he in supporting role in Tropic Thunder? I haven't seen the movie in a while.
Yeah, he's the
The
agent.
Oh, the agent.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
The one that dances at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm excited for this movie.
Yeah, I am too.
Anything MCU, I'm all for. And then there's Jurassic World Dominion.
I can't wait for this one.
Me too.
I could wait for this one before I saw the trailer.
Okay.
I absolutely hated Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Was not a fan of that film at all.
Why? And this isn't like a challenging why. I really want to know because like
It was Lost World Jurassic Park, but flipped. They spent 5 minutes on the island, and the rest of it was in the real world.
okay,
But it was the same story. Like,
was it though?
I mean, it was just this movie in reverse. Like, instead of taking them, like, they were rescuing the dinosaurs, but I just didn't like the whole, like, we're gonna keep the story in this mansion, but it's about dinosaurs, and dinosaurs are big, but we're gonna stay in this house.
I thought it was a brave choice, to be honest.
It is. It just didn't work for me.
Okay.
I did like the human cloning aspect.
I did too.
Into it.
I really did, because it seems like the next logical step in all of it, and I thought that's the problem that you had with it, because like that seems to be the problem everyone has.
What, the human cloning part?
Yeah,
Of it?
everyone gets like real mad at that part.
I personally liked it.
Sure.
My thing is that I don't need to see a sad brontosaurus die over and over again. So that's the reason why I haven't really watched it since the first. Like I saw it the first time. I really liked it. I've not gone back to it because here's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Even though it would have killed me, I truly feel that out of all of the mistakes that mankind made in the process of this whole Jurassic Park, Jurassic World storyline to get to that point, being in like the Evil Dead version of dinosaurs, pretty much.
Yeah.
Being in the mansion, they should have just let the dinosaurs gas to death in the basement. Case closed. Problem solved.
That's a real dark take on this, though.
It is a real dark take,
and you can't make a trilogy out of that.
You can't. But the smart thing to do would just be to let them all go right then and there, because then there's no mess to have to clean up. I mean, there's going to be a mess to have to clean up, but it's contained. Instead, now you have what in this trailer you have how many velociraptors running through some European city?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
So do you think the deal with this movie is like we're trying to catch all the dinos, or is it like we'll coexist with the good ones and then capture the ones that like where the predators are, or like there are predators, or like I couldn't get too much of the plot of this movie from
Which I think is a good teaser trailer.
Right, like dinos in cities is what I got.
And chat says you'll have dinosaur PETA after you.
Who, me?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like,
Oil is murder.
here's
Actually,
the
though,
thing.
really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Here's the thing. Dark truth.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Anything that is created, that we create scientifically in a lab, technically has no rights. Because they're products.
But Ryan, life finds a way.
Life does find a way, but unfortunately, when it comes to legal rights on paper, it's owned by whatever corporation makes them. That's why there is such an issue with GMOs and farming, because the corporations created those seeds, and so they have licensing and patents on that DNA structure.
Okay, this is a weird conversation. Anyway, we're getting away from the fact that Jeff Goldblum
I will
back.
go in the weeds, bro. Guys, I will go in the weeds.
Jeff Goldblum is back.
Jeff
Yes.
Goldblum, Sam Neill,
Yeah.
who follows me on Twitter, and,
Sam
and
Neill.
Laura Dern are back, wearing the same costumes.
Really though.
Did you see the picture of them on the one drawer?
No.
When they meet each other at the dig site and she turns around, if you look at the like cabinet drawer, there's a picture of them from the first movie.
Oh, I like that.
Together, like a friendship picture. I thought that was cute.
Do you know what I did after watching this trailer, in all honesty? I turned to my sister who was sitting next to me and I go, Alan. And then showed her the picture of the talking velociraptor, or the video of the talking velociraptor.
That does sound like you.
Because they need to bring that back, is what I'm saying.
I would much rather bring that back into the pop culture zeitgeist than the like talking animals video where the groundhog's like, Alan, Ellen.
Oh no! I love that video. You have no idea how much I love
absolutely hate it. Give me the Jurassic Park thing all the time.
Just not that. Just not that one. Hold on. There were feathered dinosaurs in this one too.
There were.
Are they trying to get more like
So
correct
happy
with
about
them? Like, is this like a response?
Yeah, PC. Yeah, they're trying to get more politically correct.
It's good that it's what's the thing. What I like about it is that you have that feathered dinosaur, and which shows that there's some that they're getting better at like reconnecting the DNA to like actually make them look like the way they did,
Right.
compared to having like the classic velociraptors that are like 9 feet tall when in reality they were like
They were like little
3
chickens.
foot high chickens.
They were like big chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that like in the book apparently they go into greater depth about why they look different from what they would look like.
Well, because it's the DNA.
And they
screw
talk
up.
about it a little bit
Yeah.
in the movies because they're based on frog DNA.
Yeah.
And like that's why they look amphibious because that's what they're from.
Yeah.
So I mean that's interesting then. I think I like that like twist.
There was another, I guess, trailer or TV spot that premiered that we're not going to talk about because we had dinner before the show, and we all talked about the fact that we're kind of avoiding trailers for this movie.
Yeah.
The Batman. So we can't really talk about that, but I do have something to show off that I forgot about. So I think I talked about last week on the show that Little Caesars has the Bat Calzone.
Yeah.
Well, I got 2 of the posters that came with the Bat Calzone.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
And they're actually really high quality posters for Little Caesars. Like I'm kind of, I'm really impressed by these.
That's heavyweight paper,
Yeah.
man.
Oh wow.
That's heavyweight paper,
Yeah, these are quite nice.
So-
and it's reflective.
I hope this movie isn't terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
McDonald's in the
can you
90s wouldn't even done
Can you
this.
think of any movie that has a Little Caesars tie-in that that is terrible? Because personally, I can't think of any movie that has a Little Caesars tie-in.
Star Wars Episode 1.
That was Pizza Hut.
Was it?
Yep.
Shoot. Okay.
That was
that's right.
Pizza Hut, KFC, and Taco Bell.
Yeah, because they had the planets.
Yeah.
Yep. Shoot. All right. You're right.
Yep.
Well done.
Denied. So that's pretty much all we have to cover from the weekend.
I think so.
We're going to do our normal segment of We Watch This later on in the show as a little bit of a refresher. But some sad news happens Sunday night as well. Ivan Reitman passed away. He's the director of some films that we covered on this show. He directed Stripes, directed Ghostbusters 1 and 2, the movie Evolution with David Duchovny.
Yeah.
Which I still quote, the caca and tookie tookie aren't working. So I have an Ivan Reitman story that kind of goes in with today's main topic.
Okay.
So you guys know I was at New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
I don't know how much
Yeah.
of this I've told you guys. I know I've talked about it before. I went to the Ghostbusters Afterlife panel, and Ivan Reitman was there. I didn't get to meet the guy, but it was like just really cool being in the same room as the guy who directed Ghostbusters.
Right.
And his son was there. Ivan Reitman was a big part of Ghostbusters Afterlife. He was on set all the time. Helped his son with the movie and just like as a consultant and executive producer. So he was there at the panel. When they at this panel they showed the whole movie, and they Ivan Reitman and his dad were like, "Okay, we think you've waited long enough. Here's the movie." And as they started playing the movie, the whole cast and crew from the panel came down and sat in the audience.
Aw.
And I was sitting like 3 rows back from the aisle that they had to walk in to go get to their seats.
Oh wow.
So as the movie's starting, like right after the opening chase scene, Jason Reitman walks by holding his dad, who's struggling to walk because he was up there in age. But I just had this like I stopped focusing on the movie for a minute because I was just like the director of the movie I'm watching and this class like this director who directed films that I grew up with, not even just Ghostbusters. Like he's right there. Like that's an image I'll never forget.
Wow.
And fun fact, I have managed to see all the directors of Ghostbusters films at New York Comic Con.
Really?
Because I met Paul Feig back in 2016 at New York Comic Con.
Oh, you met him?
Yeah, like I was walking the floor and like 10 feet in front of us is this man in a suit.
Yeah, it sounds right.
And it's like my wife turns to me and she's like, "Is that Paul Feig?" And I was like, "Yeah, that is Paul Feig." So we go up to Paul Feig and like, "Can we get a picture?" So I'm dressed as like Nightmare Batman with a trench coat, Batman t-shirt, and my Batman mask on. Makeup running down my face. My wife is dressed as Bombshell Wonder Woman. We get our picture with Paul Feig. And we're like, "We liked Ghostbusters. Don't know why everyone else did it." And then before he left, like, "By the way, we absolutely loved Heavyweights." And he's like, "Thank you. I never get that."
Which is
really
sad.
Funny.
Yeah. But so like it's just weird. Like of the this big franchise, I have seen all of the directors at New York Comic Con.
That's really cool, though.
So I'm sure I'll talk a little bit more about the panel as we get into the movie because I have some insights from that.
Okay, good.
But I think that like a toast to Ivan Reitman.
To Ivan Reitman.
As Kevin Smith says, big bucket of win.
Yeah.
Really, though. Good job.
But yeah, let's get into today's first main topic. One of my favorite films from last year, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Directed by, as I said, Jason Reitman. Written by Jason Reitman. And set in the same world as the original Ghostbusters films. Or at least the first one. They kind of play it odd if this takes place in the same world. Like if Ghostbusters 2 happened or not. Like they don't really address it at all.
Right.
It's kind of like a weird thing because if you do the math, Egon had to have had a daughter in Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or like right afterwards.
I didn't. Yeah, I generally didn't do the math. I was just like, I guess it works out.
Yeah.
I just assumed that he had some like fling with, like a fan or something.
Fan. Give him more credit than that.
The dude was really focused on his work. I mean,
That, you know what, fact.
He was collecting his spores and funguses.
He was collecting his
and he collected something else along the way.
Gross. Gross. You made it gross. Thanks.
So the film stars Carrie Coon, Paul Rudd, Finn Wolfhard, and McKenna Grace. So this is pretty much a story about the Egon's family. Egon leaves New York, leaves the Ghostbusters, and then you get to see what the effect that had on his daughter that you get to know in this film, and then her family, like her two kids, as they move to this town in the middle of the country. I said this was one of my favorite films. I think part of that, one of my favorite films from last year, I think part of that has to do with my experience watching it.
Sure.
But also, like, it's very well done in my opinion. Like, I think there's a world where you can make a Ghostbusters movie with fart jokes and, like, not getting striking the same tone as the original Ghostbusters films. I think this strikes that tone perfectly and does a very good job of paying tribute to those films without being heavy-handed in that tribute. I think everything they do here is earned and tasteful. That being said, you guys have just watched it for the first time in the last week.
Yeah.
I know Ryan said he watched it before I decided to pull an audible and make this a double feature.
Oh, right.
So let's start with Ryan. Ryan, what did you think of Ghostbusters Afterlife?
I was surprised by it. Man, I knew it was going to be good. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I was just surprised at how good it actually is.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums up my experience with it. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, every time they do something, I'm like, oh my god, that's great. And then something else would happen to be even better. That would be like, top it. When it comes to the score, or something they show, or, you know, Paul Rudd's reaction to something. Like, it just made it better and better and better as the movie went on. I will say that I feel like the movie kind of ended kind of abruptly.
Yeah.
But we can get into that later.
Okay.
Devin, what did you think?
This was such a hard movie for me to want to watch. So, like, I feel bad. Like, to Romana, if you're watching, I'm really sorry. Or if you're listening, I'm really sorry that I watched this movie. Because she's like, you have to watch this movie with me. And, like, she's brought it up a couple of times. She's like, oh, we should watch Ghostbusters tonight. I'm like, let's watch anything else, please. Because I didn't know if I was going to like it. I didn't like I've heard some things about it. I knew you liked it, Alan, but I'd also heard things that like it does nostalgia wrong, or like it does it incorrectly, or there's like bad like baity nostalgia in it that like isn't good. But whatever, you know what I mean? I knew that eventually I was going to watch this movie. So when you were like, okay, I'm going to throw an audible, you're going to watch this movie, I just said whatever, and I watched it, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. This was a great movie. I don't know what I was talking about. Dang it, old Devin, you're wrong. I love this. And I do want to talk about nostalgia and how it's handled in this movie.
So what you're saying is we proved you wrong before the show even started for once.
100%. Yeah, you don't. There doesn't seem to be like a mid-show twist. Like,
yeah,
I am all on board.
So
with
we have to
this
make
movie.
you hate this movie. Okay.
Don't, please. I liked it.
Okay. Well, let's start with the cast.
Okay.
The main character here is McKenna Grace. Her character's name is I've only seen
Phoebe.
Phoebe.
She's the star of this movie. You can absolutely see Egon in this character.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
From the glasses to just the personality.
Yep.
And she does a great job. She absolutely steals this film. Like, I want to watch anything else she's in.
And she gives lines that you could almost hear Egon give.
Yep.
Like when she says, like, overstimulation calms me.
Yeah.
I could totally see Egon saying that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, like, I feel like all the jokes she made were Egon jokes, too.
But, like, I loved them. Like, that was such a good quirk to the character. Like,
that's why, as soon as I was done watching it, I told you needed to see it.
That's
because of all of her bad puns. Because of all of her...
I mean, I loved it. Like, I understand that I don't like quirky children in movies, because generally quirky children are like, here is one note, and you're gonna hit that note the whole time. I forget, there was a movie that we watched where it was the new M. Night Shyamalan movie. Old, that one, where the kid quirk in the movie was, "Hi, I'm so and so. What's your occupation?" And like, that's obnoxious.
Yeah.
But like, the actor that plays Phoebe, in this, delivers her jokes so like earnestly, and so like I'm trying to do this for a reason. Every time she does it, it's just so endearing, and it's not, "What's your name and occupation?" It's so good.
I think part of it is, like, afterwards she has that, like, little smirk, which is like...
Exactly. It was really good. I really liked it.
The weird thing was, at the New York Comic Con panel, it's like, you see them all walk out, and they filmed this movie like 2 years ago, and then she walks out, and then, like, okay, like, she's a grown woman.
Yeah.
And then you watch the movie like, who is this child? But no, I absolutely loved her performance in this.
Agreed.
They didn't really give Finn Wolfhard much to do. He pretty much is just the wheelman.
I was worried that he was going to be more of the main character when they started him off like, "Oh, you have a crush on this girl, so you're going to get a job at this like roller restaurant thing." And I'm like, I don't want to watch a movie about roller restaurant thing. And I didn't watch a movie about roller. Like, I think he had a good place in it as being like the older brother, like keeping like younger sister like guarded and safe. And then like specifically him going out to party with those people and seeing like, I don't know. I kind of liked what they did with him. I didn't want another Stranger Things, and I feel like I didn't get it from him.
Yeah. I mean, they put him in the costume again, which Stranger Things did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my wife turned to me and she's like, can he just not do anything that's not related to the 80s? Like, because he was in It, he's in Stranger Things.
Right. That's right.
I was like, well, this is at least set in the present day.
It's fair.
So,
Yeah. And he is one of my wife's more favorite, like, youth actors because she likes the It movies. She loves the It movies.
Sure.
She really likes Stranger Things. And so, and she finds him funny. And I feel like she had the same reaction that, like, you did, to where it's like, I don't want to see him do the same character again.
Yeah,
I want to see
exactly.
him do something else. And we did. And he did a good job at it, especially being awkward.
Yeah.
I feel like they nailed the awkwardness of being like a 14, 15-year-old.
I mean, he's a bit awkward in the Stranger Things stuff too, but this, like, it felt like a more mature version of the awkward. Like, it wasn't like Yeah, like if he was like, we're gonna play D&D on Egon's old desk, I would have been like real mad. But it wasn't. It was
Instead,
good.
it's him trying to show off sitting in the freezer as long as he can.
Right, which is what you do as a 14, 15-year-old. I did stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I remember we locked you in a freezer once.
I think we did. I think that literally happened to me. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Still don't know how you got out.
I don't know. Chewed my way out.
And then you got Paul Rudd.
Perfect.
Sexiest man alive.
He is the sexiest man alive.
He
I
is,
forgot
literally,
about that.
yeah.
I seriously could have had more of him in this movie, to be honest. I understood, and I also appreciate what they did with him in this, but I really wish that there was a few more scenes of him.
I'm afraid if there was a few more scenes with him, because there was a point where he almost wore thin on me. And it was the point where after they got back from their date, he was like, it was a great night. It was Kung Pao, shrimp, and then jail. And then he like starts saying very awkward things. And you can tell like the director's just like, lean on that Paul Rudd awkward charm from Friends or something like that. And like, oh, like it almost was too much. And I almost like, I think I told, my sister was with me, I think I literally said, that's too much. But like, I didn't want more of that. I wanted more of like him being the teacher.
Yeah.
I wanted him reacting to Phoebe. Like
Yeah.
I wanted that, and I wanted less of like him awkward around a woman, I think. Does that make
Okay.
sense? Is that
Yeah,
that fair?
no.
Like,
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
okay, got it.
Fine.
It wasn't too much for you.
No, it was not.
Okay.
It was nowhere near too much.
Do
for me.
you get what I'm talking about, Alan, or is it?
No, I get what you're talking about. I like after that point though, they kind of like took the formula from the original Ghostbusters and flipped it.
Yeah.
So like he's the one laying dramatically, waiting for her to show up
Yeah.
instead of the other way around.
I also like that they use that for comic relief. Where, I mean, granted, them talking in, like, the deep, like, Gozer or whatever voice, or Zool voice, was comedic, but then having hers just be, like, gibberish and growls, that was funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, I actually laughed at that point.
So, Alan, you teased something before the podcast. I have to know, who did the voice?
For Gozer?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Okay, good. Cause
I want to tackle all that stuff together because that's
Okay.
That's heavy spoiler stuff.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, so we're still like
light spoilers.
light spoiler. All right. Nothing too heavy.
But let's talk a bit about the mom first.
Okay.
Carrie Coon, who Ryan's wife did not like in the role.
Now, was it because she wasn't enough like Egon? Because she was pretty different from Egon, and I feel like that was an intentional choice.
My wife wasn't a fan of how she was portraying the character. It had nothing to do against the actress.
Sure.
That she felt that like maybe somebody physically different should have played the role. She just didn't really connect with her playing that character.
I think
That's really all it was.
I think and that's an intentional thing. I don't think that character is one that you're supposed to click with.
No.
Because there's so much trauma there that she's dealing with
Right.
her dad abandoning her.
It's not that, because that's something that's built in, that's part of the storyline. This is my wife going, they should have casted someone else.
Okay.
Not change the character.
But just like another person playing
Another
the character.
person playing the character.
Did you like the character?
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really put any weight in her, because I'm like, oh, she's angry. Her dad abandoned her.
Right.
Got it. I didn't really care too much about it.
See, I put a little bit more weight there because, like, for Phoebe and Finn Wolfhard's character, like, that's the only like they never knew their grandfather.
Right.
Like, they just know what she said. But for her, like, it's more personal. Like, that abandonment is like she's addressing that directly just by going to this house.
True.
And it's a very painful thing to have to go through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think they did a really good job of handling that abandonment the way they did.
Yeah.
I just maybe I feel the same way about it, because I am looking at it as like, okay, well, she's angry. They're showing her react to that anger. They're showing her trying to raise the kids as best she can. And I kind of went into this movie pretty much going, okay, the daughter's going to be the main focus here. the son's going to be the secondary focus, and she's the mom trying to hold them
Just
together.
like the background of it all.
Just like a background character, and that's kind of how I took her character throughout the movie. Maybe that says that I feel the same way my wife does about her, that maybe I would have reacted better if they had casted someone else who could have, I don't know, done the role a little bit differently. But the fact that you're really not supposed to connect with her because she's a little bit overbearing, that's not the reason why I feel the way I do, or my wife feels the way that she does about it.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fine. I thought that she like kind of filled the role that she needed to in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I was critical. I thought she was fine. That's it.
That. Yeah.
Unequivocally, at the end of the day, I think she was not. I think she wasn't the main star of the movie, essentially, and I think that shows. But like Alan said, I like how she took the abandonment and everything. I think that it was a good part to it.
Yeah,
Hey, Devin, can you move your mic closer to Ryan? Just so when you're talking to us, you're talking more into it.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Good.
All right, so let's get into some of the biggest spoilers I think that I got from this movie watching it at New York Comic Con.
Okay.
Because I hadn't really watched many of the trailers. I'd seen like the marshmallow clips of the little mini marshmallow men.
Yeah.
And I've seen like the teaser trailer, but I didn't know. One of the biggest things I didn't know about this movie. Well, we'll get into it.
Okay.
No.
The biggest.
I'm shaking my head at him.
Oh yeah.
The biggest thing I didn't know about this movie was that Gozer and Zool were going to be part of it.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Which I think they did in such a great way. I think the way they revisit Gozer and Zool makes complete sense in this world. Like, it's not just like, oh, we're going to do Gozer again because we can. It's like, well, let's have a reason to do Gozer again. Like, what would have happened?
Yeah.
Like, and I think it does a really good job of keeping the mythos from the original Ghostbusters and expanding on it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think of Gozer and Zool?
You go ahead.
You sure?
I really have trouble congealing my thoughts on this one.
Okay.
So you go ahead.
I didn't know where the movie was going because you did a good job of just not telling us anything.
I did.
Yeah.
And the trailers definitely didn't let you know on it at first. And so I went into it not really, not knowing it. And at first I was like, oh, they're doing this again. Mm-hmm. But then as it went on, even before they did the explanation of like why it was happening, I was like, they're doing this really well. Even though they're going this direction, they're doing this well. So I'm not going to be judgy about it. And then it got to the explanation. Mm-hmm. And then I remember the conversation that you and I had about, where does Vigo as a villain rate compared to like Gozer?
Right.
And, is Vigo like a street villain compared to like Gozer being like being like the evil genius mastermind? And I was thinking about it like, no, this would totally make sense, especially if like this, God thing that they were talking about in the first one is like a legit, spiritual thing. And if it's the only thing on Earth in this world, then it would make sense that they would be on this fight against this thing that was trying to enslave humanity again.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You've helped me a bit.
Okay, good.
So I asked you guys at dinner if you knew who played Gozer.
I don't. I have no idea.
It's a well-known actress. You know who she is. You may not know her as an actress. You may not remember her from G4. Olivia Munn.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, Olivia Munn played Gozer.
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
One thing, now that we're on the topic, I want to bring up the effects because it has to do with Gozer.
Okay.
Do it.
The one thing that I love about this movie is what they did. They did not change the effects from the original movie. Mm-hmm. They just cleaned it up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I absolutely love about this. Gozer, if you were to look at Gozer from the first Ghostbusters and look at Gozer in this one, it's almost the exact same costume, but this one shows you exactly what they had in mind and what they were trying to do in the first one. And all they did was clean it up just a little bit. And that's my main thing with this. They did a lot of puppetry that you could tell was puppetry and not just CGI. And that's that's one of those like small things that can make me either like really really like a movie or just be like, it was okay.
Yeah. So to go off of that and to kind of like solidify my thoughts on Gozer and Zool in this movie, my idea of what like bad nostalgia is the scene in Jurassic World where they're like sneaking through the bramble, they're like trying to get away from a dinosaur, and then at one point someone goes, "Hey, look, it's the goggles from the first Jurassic Park movie." Ah. And then they put it down and it never gets addressed again. That's bad nostalgia for me, right?
Yeah.
So when they started bringing up Gozer and Zool again,
I feel a rant coming on.
You shouldn't. So when they started bringing up again, I was like, okay. So I was literally sitting there going, all right, I got my, Ghostbusters scorecard. All right, they did the proton pack, they did the hand thing, they did the ghost trap, and I started this movie being very, very objectively terrible about a lot of this, right? And I'm like, all they need to do is the car, and then they need to do the thing, and then they did the thing, and then I have a bingo, and I was really kind of awful about it. But then I took a step back and I was like, all right, look, I'm gonna make a Ghostbusters movie. After so long of not making a Ghostbusters movie, you kind of have to have certain things in order to make the movie a Ghostbusters movie. Like, you can't have a Ghostbusters movie without like a ghost trap. You can't have one without a proton pack. Like, you just can't. Like, those are hallmarks of the thing. And I feel like if I'm going to make a Ghostbusters movie and I'm going to make a bad guy, if I'm going to make it the same as any of the other ones, at least justify it as well as they did in the movie. And I feel like the movie did a good enough job of saying, here's the thing you remember. They did the Jurassic Park thing. But then they specifically did, here's why it's here, and here's why it matters to what we're doing now. Instead of going, remember the thing? We're done with it.
Instead of just building another Death Star.
Exactly. They didn't just build it. Yeah, right. They didn't just build another Death Star because you saw
another Death Star.
Right.
Or the remains of a Death Star.
And it wasn't. It was. I think you're right. I think it was earned, and I don't mind those things being in the movie anymore. And we'll have to talk about the marshmallows.
Let's talk about the marshmallows.
I ranted to you guys about the marshmallows. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was mad that the marshmallows were going to be in it. I'm still mad that it takes place in a Walmart, and I wanted to know if you guys have like.
I have some questions about it being set at a Walmart.
It is the cleanest, emptiest Walmart I've ever seen.
That's because it was a test store.
Oof. Oh, was it? Isn't Chippensburg a test store?
No.
Oh, okay, I thought it was.
No. There is a difference between being a test store for like a local area.
Yeah.
Like let's say like for the state of Pennsylvania, there's a difference between a test store for the state of Pennsylvania and a test store for the company.
Oh, okay. So it's a
test
company
store
test store
for a company has no real like. Granted, I haven't done anything with Walmart for like 4 years, so things have probably changed a little bit. But a test store usually gets a lot more man hours to put in for schedules to make it that clean.
Sure.
Also, he's going in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also,
So
they
there's that.
probably closed down the store to get it ready for a Ghostbusters shoot.
100%.
I'm pretty sure at one
100%.
point I saw employees like a few departments back behind him, just like watching them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about this Walmart.
Like what?
The red and yellow numbers.
Yeah, that was the big thing for me.
What does it even mean?
Because
Tell
Walmart
me.
numbers are usually black with white numbers.
Or
I didn't know that.
white with black
Or-
numbers.
yeah.
Now, the reason why I said test store was because of that reason. The company for a long time has been trying to go back to like the retro, like 80s Walmart, 90s Walmart look. And the rollback, whenever they did the rollback,
Yeah.
it was the smiley face rollback
right.
on a red background. And then the numbers were
Oh.
red and yellow.
Got it.
And when I saw that, I'm like, I haven't seen that since I went to go see my grandfather in Arkansas like 20 years ago. And so that's how like I like watching that, and then also the mannequins.
I didn't really pick up on the mannequins.
There were there were mannequins in the apparel section. That's what you saw is what Walmart probably wants all of their stores to look like within 5 years.
Okay. Because I don't think they're mannequins in Walmart usually.
No, there's not.
Okay.
My biggest thing that was took me out of the Walmart scene was watching the blenders and toasters and everything turn on.
Plugged in,
'cause
ready to
those
go.
don't work.
Yeah.
They don't work.
The gas stove.
The wires are cut on the back of those things.
Oh, wow.
And the propane grills running in the lawn and garden department.
Yeah.
Because I know a thing or two about that, and you never had the propane connected to those.
You never had the propane in the building.
No.
I am going to say, though, I loved it.
Oh, it was
Good.
fantastic.
Okay, so
Good.
So here's the thing. As soon as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man came out, I was like, oh. And then as soon as Paul Rudd poked it, I went, oh. And then as soon as they started dying horrifically, I went, yeah, this is what I'm here for.
I will say there was one thing in this movie that I did not get to see at New York Comic Con, and it's at the very end of the film, after the second post-credit scene, where the mini... You guys watched the post-credit
Yeah.
scenes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The mini Stay Puft Man through the circle.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the Ghostbusters symbol. That was not part of the film.
Oh, wasn't it?
Nope. It
Aw.
just ended.
It was a cool part.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was wrong. I liked it. You're right. It makes sense. Because you said it makes sense if you know who the bad guy is. So, like, that was almost as spoilery as you ever got with it.
Yeah.
And, like, you're right.
You
it
know
makes
how
sense.
hard it is not to talk about this movie? Like,
Yeah.
so I see this movie a month and a half before it comes out. And I'm walking out next to this guy, and we're just talking about, like, that was insane, right? Like, we just saw Ghostbusters. It's October. That's not supposed to come out until end of November. Like, we're not going to be able to talk about this to anyone.
Did you have to sign, like, an NDA or something?
No, they're just like, just don't tell anyone what happened.
Good.
And I'm sure there were some people that did.
Right.
But because the news got out that they premiered it
Yeah.
at Comic-Con. But, like, I was there with friend of the show, Josh, working his booth, and I just texted him, like, as they started playing the movie, like, yeah, I was right. It's a panel. Or the panel's a screening.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he's like, that's awesome. I'm so mad. But I got to talk to him about it on his podcast.
Oh,
This
good.
is the third podcast I've done about Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Wow.
I did. You want to hear my deep thoughts on this? Listen to the Victims and Villains episode.
Right.
You want to hear? I popped in on Nerf Herders Assemble, which is Josh's podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because I saw they were live, and I was like, they were talking about me seeing it at Comic Con and how I couldn't say anything to Josh. I was like, I can hop on and talk about it a little bit if you want.
I'm here.
I hopped on for like 20 minutes, but and
Nice.
now I'm here talking to you guys about it. So it was really hard not to be able to say anything about it.
So is this universally loved by everyone that you've heard talk about it?
From what I've heard, like there are some issues with it. I think my wife had some issues with it. We can get into here.
Yeah.
Because we haven't really talked about the Ghostbusters of it all.
Can we?
Let's talk about it.
I mean,
Well,
I think about nostalgia, the rant
Yeah.
that I felt coming on.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that because I was feeling a rant coming from you. I was saying that I felt the rant coming from me because of what you were saying.
Oh, okay, got it. So if I wanted to get really, really ranty about this, and I'm absolutely not, I could say that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Men didn't make any sense because the reason that they were in the first one was because the one guy, that's what he was thinking of to clear his mind. Therefore, they're not a construct that Gozer typically uses. The construct that Gozer typically uses is whatever you happen to be thinking about.
can I counterpoint that?
Please do.
I believe that the mini Marshmallow Men are a echo of the original Ghostbusters. So as Zool's going into like the spirit of Zool's going into Walmart, it goes by those Stay Puft marshmallows and brings them to life
Because it
it remembers
doing that.
Yeah, in the 80s. I think that's why.
I think it's a stretch,
And the
but sure.
marshmallows exist still, so they're there. But my thing, when it comes to nostalgia and
Yeah.
people complaining about nostalgia hints in movies, I feel like it's a weak argument point.
Okay.
The reason being is that if you're going to make a Blues Brothers movie,
Yeah.
and they made Blues Brothers 2000, I'm just going to completely ignore that never existed.
Good.
If you were to make a Blues Brothers movie now,
Okay.
the only real way I could see of doing it would to be relatives of the main characters. Okay, they somehow come across parts of their suits. So then you've got, hey, look, it's their suits. And then you have some people going, it's just cheap nostalgia. And then again, maybe the car, the cop car, maybe it's completely blown apart and they can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
So they have to like get a new one or whatever. But at least the car is there. And you're going to get people complaining about it, but then again, it's one of those things where it's like, you need to have that in the film to connect it. Regardless if the characters use the item or not, it's grounding material.
I think for me, it's does the movie have a unique and interesting story to tell in that universe versus is it just there because somebody needed to keep using the IP to make money and to sell toys?
Okay.
I think the Jurassic World movies toe that line very, very closely. I don't know if the story needed to be told. I think this one needed to be told.
I'm going to bring up the one example you brought up.
Do it.
Do it. Why that? Okay, so they are in the basically abandoned visitor center.
Yes.
To the first Jurassic Park.
Yes.
They go into the garage where they have the Jeeps.
And then the goggles.
Yeah. It would make sense if that's a repair garage for a broken pair of goggles to be sitting on a workbench.
So I can agree with you that their presence makes sense given the scenario that they set up.
Yes.
They didn't need to go in there. Like, they didn't need it to be a garage. The garage wasn't part of the movie. The garage wasn't plot specific. They didn't then start up a Jeep and drive it, and that's how they got to their location. They just walked into a place and went, remember these things? Neat. Let's keep going with the movie.
Is that what they said?
Kind of, yeah. That's almost exactly what they said in that scene.
That's how I didn't take it. Because they went into the visitor center, and they were going through different rooms, and they found something that was there that somebody had left, and then they moved on.
And yeah, and I get that. I definitely understand that. But you can kind of see where they're just like, look a thing. There we go, we did it. Those things aren't essential for a Jurassic Park movie. Where I think that like the Ghost Trap, the Proton Pack, like a lot of the tick, like even to some degree the car in this is essential for a Ghostbuster movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, could you have a Ghostbuster movie without the car? Do you guys think?
No.
Would it feel like a Ghostbusters movie?
No.
No?
I like that they added stuff from the cartoon in it.
Like the side scene?
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Devin, can you push your microwave? Push your microwave a little bit further away from your
Too
mouth.
loud?
Yeah,
Too much?
You're
Too
getting
much?
excited and it's just
You're
peaking just a little bit.
Okay, just a smidge. All right, I got you.
Okay, so speaking of nostalgia,
Yeah.
like the one thing we haven't really talked about is the use of the Ghostbusters in this. Do we want to start with the three living Ghostbusters, or do we want to deal with Egon first?
I think Egon's a whole can of worms. Can we start with the living ones first, please?
Okay. Let's start with the use of Dan Aykroyd. Well, actually, before we do that, Ryan brought up Blues Brothers 2000, and I had to pull this up on my phone because I don't know if you saw this from the game this weekend, but Dan Aykroyd and Jim Belushi
What?
were walking around the Super Bowl as the Blues Brothers with Belushi weed.
That's really funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the music's playing like it's
Also, I don't know what Belushi weed is, but do they have their own
Jim
brand?
Belushi is a farmer now.
No, he's not.
He is.
Weird.
Yeah, at least
Weird.
That's what I saw on TikTok. So according to Jim, he is. Yeah.
Oh, it took me a second.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
All right, so let's talk about the
Okay.
use of the Ghostbusters. So we get to see Ray first, Dan Aykroyd.
Raise a cult.
Raise a
Raise a
Colt.
call.
So I guess it is that is like the main reference to Ghostbusters too. Where we get to see the commercials from the original film.
Okay.
And get to see footage of on YouTube, and I love freeze framing it and looking at all the videos like related to that video.
What were they?
One was like the Ghostbusters. Where are they now?
Oh, that's fun.
But so you get like all this archive footage on the internet, which is how this stuff would be. And then you get to they get arrested for blowing up the town, and the first person she calls, like who you like the sheriff is like, who are you gonna call? And you're like, you said the thing. And then she calls the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And it's Dan Aykroyd. And I just love the delivery of Egon Spengler can rot in hell.
Yeah.
And then he passed away a few days ago. And then he's just like, oh man. Like it, like you can feel it. Like it like your heart just sinks with him. Like it's like I haven't seen Dan Aykroyd act in much lately, but that was like that was a great moment.
It was.
And like the whole conversation, like I love how slowly they got to put the pieces together of why Egon did what he did to move out to this farm and what he was doing. And it didn't feel slow at all. It felt like you're slowly getting there at the right pace. Like if they put everything out on Front Street in that phone call, it would have been too much.
And that was the thing, because like when she was talking to him, I was like, "Say Gozer, say it's Gozer, say it's Gozer, dang it!" And like she didn't.
Yeah.
But you're right; it would have been too much because they wouldn't have figured it out and they would have gotten there sooner.
Yeah. And it also gave you a reason to hate the sheriff.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And then in the final fight, the 3 Ghostbusters show up.
And they pull their routine perfectly.
They do. It felt good.
Are you a god? And it's like, Ray.
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 We're all gods.
Learned his lesson.
Okay, so I haven't seen the Ghostbusters movie before this one, admittedly.
Okay.
I know very little about it. I know how those characters are used in the new movie, or in that movie.
Ghostbusters Answer the Call. Yeah.
It's called Answer the Call?
Depending on who you ask, yeah.
Sure. So I know how they're used in Ghostbusters Answer the Call. I can tell you I like this version so much better.
Because in this version, they're actually the characters, not just the actors.
And it feels less, I don't know, like every single time those characters showed up in Ghostbusters Answer the Call, I didn't think they were ever necessary. I didn't think the cab driver... What?
I thought you didn't see it.
I've seen their bits.
Okay.
Like I've seen like YouTube footage of their bits.
So
yeah.
If you've seen YouTube video of their bits, but not the actual movie,
right?
Then how do you know that those scenes weren't called for?
One of them was a cab driver.
Okay.
Anyone could have driven her there, or you don't even need to watch her go there. She could have just showed up and you assume she took a cab or walked. Like I didn't need to watch her in transit. One of them was Bill Murray dying. And then like,
but that's not his only cameo in the.
So that's the only
movie.
one I know. Then is that he doesn't believe in ghosts, and then he like opens the box and then dies, and like that didn't need to be Bill Murray. Like, I just didn't feel like they were as necessary as this one was, and these felt like the right. It felt like the right time to bring them back, and it felt like the right way to hand over the franchise if you're going to do that. Like it felt like what Indiana Jones wanted Shia LaBeouf grabbing the hat to be. But wasn't.
Okay.
Are you mad at me because I didn't?
I still have a hard time of you judging cameos without actually seeing the movie.
But I've seen the cameos.
But you haven't seen the setup for the cameos.
Okay, is the setup that much better? Like
I feel it is.
Alan says no.
I mean, it's not going to change much. If you're only there to see those cameos, you're probably not going to like the rest of the movie.
I'll put it to you this way. I am not a fan of... I am not a real fan of Melissa McCarthy.
Okay.
I liked her in Gilmore Girls.
Sure.
I liked her in Gilmore Girls. I like her in The Heat. And I like her in Ghostbusters.
Okay.
That is it.
Did you like the Ghostbusters movie?
I did.
Okay.
I watch it often.
I want to watch it now, especially if you like it. Like that really makes me want to watch it.
It's one of those things where, you know how you had that family member tell you you've got to turn off your
critical brain.
Your brain and just watch something for fun.
Yeah.
That's what that Ghostbusters movie is.
Okay.
Because they do a lot of referencing to actual, like, the original movies in like, the way they handle something. They might say, like, half a line that's reminiscent of one from the original movie. But it's just literally 4 actresses having fun.
Yeah.
In that world.
Devin, I'm going to see you again later this week. I'm going to let you borrow Ghostbusters Answer the Call to watch.
Okay.
And we'll get your thoughts on it next week. So
good.
If you want to hear his thoughts on the Paul Feig's Ghostbusters with Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy, tune in next week.
Good. Good.
And you know I don't like Kristen Wiig, and I like her in that movie.
Okay, good. I'm excited.
I feel like before we can talk more about the original Ghostbusters in this, we have to talk about Egon, because a big part of them being in this is him.
Yeah.
So Egon's very much in this film.
Yeah.
He's in the beginning.
He's a lamp.
He's a lamp.
He's a ghost.
Yeah.
He's a lamp.
Yeah.
He's not a lamp. He's a ghost.
He's manipulating a lamp.
He's a ghost moving a lamp. Yeah. How did you guys feel about him not being seen but being there? Because I absolutely loved the way they handled that.
That, to me, was, like Devin said, him being in the movie is a giant can be and is a giant can of worms because the actor is no longer around. It hasn't been for a long time. They couldn't have done a better job, in my opinion, balancing what they did with Egon's character. They couldn't have done a better job balancing how much time and I'm just going to say it, how much time you see him,
Right.
compared to how much time you see him manipulating things and don't see him.
And I agree. And I'm not one of those people that thinks that CGIing somebody into a movie is inherently disrespectful. I'm just not. Like, I enjoyed when Carrie Fisher's Leia was in Rogue One. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I did. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it as long as the estate's okay with how it's being handled.
Well,
I think that's all that matters.
In Rogue One, she was still alive. She passed away like 2 weeks after that movie came out.
Oh, I got the timeline mixed up.
It was Rise of Skywalker they did.
That was it.
Yeah.
Again, I'm fine with it. I mean, I know that she had more planned, but I think that I was fine with it. I think that they did a lot. They did his character well. They, like, when they did end up so first, when they didn't show him, you still got his personality.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that's really hard to do when you're just animating essentially a lamp. Or, like, you're animating, like, things here and there. Like
the
in
chessboard.
Yeah, the chessboard.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was really good. And then when you saw him, it just worked. I don't think he looked too fake. I mean, and part of that might be because they made him, like, half a see-through ghost. So, like, you can't even tell that it's, like, a fake aging of a... Like, it kind of masks it or...
Yeah.
But, like, there was a point where, like, I think one of the Ghostbusters, it might have been Bill Murray, like, apologizes to him. Or maybe it was Dan Aykroyd, like, apologizes to him. And then he, like, gives this, like, little shrug. Or he, like gives, like, a smile or something. They nailed it. Like...
He nods his head a little bit.
They did it so freaking well. Like...
When my wife and I were watching the movie, like, I said, it was the only thing I said out loud when we were watching it. I said, they better not have him speak. He better not talk. And he didn't, and I was happy about that.
What would have made it worse if he talked for you?
That, to me, like...
Is that the line, though? Because we are now creating new lines when it comes to these things.
It's not the line of him being passed away and then CGIing him into the movie. That's not where my line was. They did so much animation-wise to show his personality, to show who he is as a ghost, that if he were to talk, it would almost make it more cartoonish.
Cheapen it.
Than more, like, emotional.
Okay.
And that's to where I was like, please don't have him talk. Please don't have him talk. And there's something in me that feels like it would have been too much.
Got it. Alan, did you have the same kind of reaction to it? Because you had mentioned that somebody that you know didn't, like, had a problem with this part of it. So I'm curious to hear, like, all angles.
It does toe the line. My wife wasn't a huge fan of it. Like, I think the moment that got her emotionally that she enjoyed was, and I do too, is when Egon shows up and is holding the gun with, like, helping his granddaughter with it. That's what got me with it.
That was good.
I think the argument can be made that it goes on too long. Like, you give everyone their moment except for the people who are the dogs. Everyone gets their moment to say goodbye to Egon.
Right.
And I don't think he should have spoke. Like, I like that they kept it silent.
Yeah.
Because I have thoughts on the whole AI voice thing too. Because that's a thing that's been used in stuff that you haven't seen yet, Devin.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I thought everything was tastefully done. I was on my phone here trying to figure out, like, what if they said, like, anything about permissions they had to get from the estate, or anything. I think they did have cooperation of Harold Ramis's estate, but
oh, good. Okay.
But the film's dedicated to him, so everything they do is in tribute.
Yeah.
I mean, and if I was the estate, I couldn't think of a better send-off or a better, like, representation of that character. You know what I mean? Like, he had this plan. Like, he laid everything out from the beginning. You watched it happen. Like, I don't know. I thought it was great. I really did. I liked it.
Oh, so I just found what I was looking for.
Oh, yeah.
When the Ghostbusters torch passed to Jason Reitman, he knew he wanted to feature and pay tribute to Harold Ramis. the socially awkward brains of the original Ghostbusters by a cameo. I looked at photographs of Harold in his later years just before he passed. I started doing concepts, about 5 or 6 of them. Once we found the right expression, Violet Ramus, Harold's eldest daughter, saw it, and everyone signed off on it.
I love it.
So, I think knowing that makes it a little less dirty. It would be one thing if they took a photo of him from Ghostbusters 2 and did it.
Yeah.
But they did age him up naturally.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I think they did, because the last thing I remember seeing Harold Ramis in was Knocked Up, because he plays Seth Rogen's dad, and he was a little bit heavier than he was in this. I don't know if he lost some weight towards the end. But I wouldn't be mad about that either.
No.
But I like, it's weird going to a New York Comic Con panel and like crying at a scene.
Yeah, but this would have been it, man.
But like everyone else was there doing it too, so I didn't feel bad.
I was going to say, you're at New York Comic Con, you're at a panel full of Ghostbusters fans. Everyone's going to be crying.
Yep.
That's
100%.
like the
Yeah. Yeah. What else do we want to talk about with Ghostbusters? Do you guys have any
podcast.
questions? Oh, we haven't talked about. We're on a podcast. We got to talk about.
Oh, we didn't talk about podcast.
Much like podcasts, our show really hit its stride in the 46th episode.
Did it though? I wasn't here for that.
I don't know.
So,
what was the 46th episode?
You made a comment before. I want to hear your take on the character.
Okay, I hated him until they paid him off. I hated him the whole time. I liked that there was a character that's like, I understand the lore of all of this. I liked that because I feel like you needed somebody to be like, no, ghosts are totally real. Here's the thing. Like, you needed someone to buy into it. I guess podcasting is just too close to home. Like, he could have just been a ghost nerd, and I would have been totally fine with it. He didn't need to be a podcaster about it. Like, I didn't like that. But dang it, then I liked that Dan Aykroyd was his one subscriber.
Yeah.
That was really good. So yeah, sure, I hated him the entirety of the movie, and he redeemed himself in minute, like, in like the 2-hour mark.
So, I just found out what our 46th episode was. I'm not going to say it on the air. But
42nd or 46th? 46.
Was I there for that?
No.
Okay.
It was like right before you joined the show.
Was it a bad one?
No, it wasn't a bad
later.
one. We'll tell you later.
Okay, good.
It's just funny that that's the 46th.
Yeah, it is.
If you're interested, you can find us on Spotify.
Yeah, all
And
major
that-
podcasting platforms.
And that episode.
Yeah.
The character of podcast.
Yeah.
It hit too close to home.
Yeah, me too.
Simply because it's a character of like, granted it's a little kid, so he's like really obsessed with it,
Right.
and everything, but it's just, I mean, like, those are the jokes, those are the stereotypical jokes of like the whole podcasting thing, and I get that. I, on a different note, gonna completely turn around what I wanted to talk about him because of what you said.
Oh, why?
Now, the way you felt about podcast is how I feel about Spider-Man's friend in the new movies.
Ned.
That's how much Ned annoys me.
But he redeemed himself for you in the last 5 minutes of the latest movie?
He has not done that yet, though.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Wait till he becomes Hobgoblin and you'll love him.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird in the panel because all the kids were there for the panel.
Okay.
The actor-wise, it was all the kids and Carrie Coon. That was it.
Weird. So you didn't get Paul Rudd?
No Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd's not going to New York Comic Con. I'm sorry.
Paul Rudd could go to New York
He
Comic Con.
could. No, he could. He could.
I'm trying to make a joke saying it's not as, it's not like he's more like San Diego Comic Con. Like,
That's fair.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was busy filming a Marvel movie, so I think that's why he wasn't there.
well, there's that too.
that'll do it.
But like, so they introduced the kid as Podcast. I'm like, wait, the character's name is Podcast? Like, what?
Yeah.
So I can't wait until November to see this movie to actually find out what that. Oh wait, never mind.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
there he
there's
is.
the movie. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the kid seemed cool. Like, he was really excited to be there, and
Oh,
he
really?
I think they made jokes about the fact that everyone else had like hit puberty before the panel, like in between.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't. He still was like super short and had to like jump into the chair.
Poor podcast.
Yeah.
So on the panel, was he was he more or less excited to be on the panel than he was to be in jail?
About the same. The only real insight that I like to bring up from the panel was Jason Reitman talked a bit about the future of the franchise, and I think
there's definitely a future. There has to be.
So,
Is there?
So what Jason Reitman's goal was for the future of these films going forward was to let any filmmaker come in and do whatever they want with the Ghostbusters world, like tell the stories they want to tell without being beholden to Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, and
because they're done. Their characters are wrapped.
their characters
we
are
don't
done.
need them anymore.
They can still be there. Like they don't have to be the main story, but
Sure.
they can still be there. And I think the second post credit scene with Annie Potts and why am I blanking on his name? Ernie Hudson.
Oh yeah.
That final scene with them establishing that Ghostbusters are going to be back, I think lends itself to stories that they can tell with other filmmakers.
Yeah.
What if this is what that the kid from Stranger Things and it does for the rest of his career?
Just Ghostbusters movies?
He turns into like the next generation, like the next not Egon, but like the next like Ray or something. Like he takes over that role, and like they follow him in New York doing the whole Ghostbusters.
I don't even
thing.
think you need to bring those kids in. I think it would be great to see more of Phoebe.
Yeah.
Going forward, I think if you leave her in, and maybe expand it with different characters who are just as enthusiastic about this stuff, I think that'd be a great way to go forward with it. The only other cameo I would want to see in a future Ghostbusters film is Rick Moranis.
Oh, that would
because he's the only one we didn't get in this.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna go back to New York, like he could just be bumping around New York.
Yeah.
Like, oh look, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
He could go back to being like the trainer. Like,
oh yeah.
For like the new hires, like he's
the
one that takes care of HR, and then he's the one that takes care of training, because everybody in New York who was there on New Year's is going to remember him as the one that busted that Jell-O mold off of the off of the museum.
That's right.
So he's the one that's going to teach them how to use the proton packs.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I really am. And like, I think if they go into like a future version of Ghostbusters, I think we can be done with Gozer. I think we can be done with Zool. I don't need to see. Oh, what was the guy's name?
Vigo.
Vigo. That's it.
I want Vigo back though.
Do you? I want Vigo back in a small part. I don't want a whole movie on Vigo.
I think you can do something with Vigo that's not Vigo, like a cameo.
Right.
Like pass it in a museum and be like, is that guy looking at me? Like.
Right. Do something with it, but like don't make him a whole movie again.
Yeah. Like
if they really do kind of make this as a jumping off point, I think it's good. I think they'd have to get it tonally correct. But like I don't know.
I just thought up of a line.
Okay.
In a future Ghostbusters movie.
Okay.
To be the perfect addition to just hint at Ghostbusters 2.
Okay.
Okay. At some point, they walk into a room or a house or a building, and it's like covered in like ectoplasm, just all over the place because something happened, whatever. And then somebody complains about like slipping, and then one of the other new Ghostbusters goes, "Hey, man, it could be a river of slime. At least it's not that bad."
Yeah, exactly.
Or something like that.
I think you could bring in Oscar, the baby from Ghostbusters 2, as a character.
You could.
Where was Slimer?
No, I'm glad there wasn't Slimer.
No. My wife and I were waiting for him to come by.
Slimer lives in New York.
That's fair.
Muncher lives in Somerville.
Okay. I wanted Slimer. I'm sorry. My wife and I wanted Slimer.
That would have gotten my bingo card.
What did you think? Okay, the last question before we move on. What did you think of Muncher?
I liked Muncher.
Oh, yeah.
I really did. My wife liked him too much to where she actually got kind of angry that it looked like his belly was burning when he was being held by the proton pack.
Like it would have gotten hurt.
Yeah, and because so she liked him. She thought she thought he was cute.
Right.
Because he was. Because he looked like a bald old man.
Of course he did.
Okay. And he had the body of a water bear.
Yep, he did. It looks like he was like roughly based on a water bear.
And my wife loves water bears. So it was one of those things where like she was like, "Oh, it's so cute, like he's cute," and then like they were trying to catch him, and she's like, "Why doesn't that dumb kid open up the trap already?" Like it was that type of thing because like he was in pain.
You're hurting him.
Yeah.
No, I liked him. I think he served more of a purpose than Slimer did. In a lot of it, I like he didn't have him drive a car, which is also, I think, a good use of a ghost. But yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
Slimer's like my favorite thing from Ghostbusters besides like the core members. That's why
I like his ecto cooler a lot.
I have some.
But anyway,
I know, and I love that.
Do you want some?
Yeah.
I don't need some right now, but I will later.
Yeah. Okay, I think that does it for our conversation on Ghostbusters Afterlife. So we're gonna take a break from our main topics for a little bit and get into what we watched.
Good.
And I forget what I have up next. So
So while you do that,
what?
Oh, I was gonna say, the girl in Afterlife.
Yeah.
She does the song at the beginning of the trailers.
Oh, does she?
She's
Well,
the
the
one
credits,
that's singing that. The credits.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So the next time you go back and watch it,
Yeah.
she's the one doing all that.
Oh, that makes me okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
So Devin, you recently traveled. You flew in from London, and boy, were your arms tired.
So tired. Yeah.
I'm assuming you watched this on a plane. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it.
Wait. There it is.
The Green Knight.
I did.
You watched it on the flight?
I did watch it on the flight. Yeah. If you were paying attention last week, everything that you guys mentioned, I'm like, I'll watch that on the flight. The flight's only like 8 hours long. I had enough time for like 2 movies. It was this, and it was Horrible Bosses was what I ended up watching on the flight. Really totally different movies. This is the only one I think I care to talk about. Because Horrible Bosses is just fun. Yeah, it was Green
horrible.
Knight.
Anyway.
No, I loved it.
Of all the things with Jason Sudeikis we've recommended to you,
That's the
that's
thing.
not one of them.
That's not one of them at all.
But no, I ended up watching The Green Knight. I liked it a lot. I don't know who the director was, but it stars Dev Patel. And do you guys know the deal with this movie?
No,
Never
I do
heard of
not.
it before.
Okay, so it is a retelling of the Sir Gawain story. So I don't know if you guys know this, but basically there's King Arthur, right? And King Arthur, I think, was essentially kind of the first MCU, where like every one of his knights had like all of these stories about them. And one of the knights of the Round Table was Sir Gawain. And he was the one, if you guys had ever heard about this, he had a green sash that he always wore and could never take off or his head would fall off. That was like his deal, right?
That sounds like one of those stories from that book, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, with the girl that wore the scarf around her neck. You took the scarf off, her head would fall off.
It's based on it, though. Like, it's based on the Sir Gawain tale.
Cool.
So, basically, the setup for the movie is that on Christmas Day, a Green Knight, it's basically like this guy made of trees, walks into Camelot for all of the Knights of the Round Table, and he goes, "Let's play a fun Christmas game. I want one of you to hurt me, and you get my axe, but then next year you have to come to me, and I hurt you exactly the same amount that you hurt me." And Sir Gawain goes, "Great, I'll just kill him so this whole thing's off." So he chops off his head. The Green Knight picks up his head, goes, "Great, I'll see you next year," and walks away. And that's like the setup for the movie. I thought it was great. I like this movie so much. I didn't think that I liked like medieval kind of movies like this, or that they had a place in like modern storytelling. This was wonderful. I'm gonna make you guys watch this soon.
Awesome.
I'm sold.
Are ya?
I'll watch it.
Yeah?
I've heard about this.
Yeah.
I didn't know the plot of it at all.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see what this movie is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you did a good job of telling us what it is without spoiling much.
Great.
So
Good. I hope so.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do like the whole medieval period.
Oh, do you?
It's just there hasn't been like the only movie that I felt was worth my time that was based in that era was more of like the fantasy King Arthur recently.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah, I
it
know what
was
you're
kind
talking
of
about.
like contemporary medieval-ish, but I never really got around to watching it. But this has always been an interest. Like that time period has always been an interest of me. The reverse of the whole cowboy thing.
Which we're gonna have to talk about soon.
Oh, we will.
So this isn't a sequel to The Black Knight with Martin Lawrence.
I wish it was.
Okay.
Or Kid in King Arthur's Court.
Oh, gross. No.
Gross.
Okay.
Is it a good movie?
I loved that movie when I was a kid.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it. All right, you didn't have anything, right? I'm trying to remember what I pulled in.
I
for
said
this show.
Super Bowl. We
Yeah,
already
we
kind of covered
did
We
that.
did talk
yeah.
about that, yeah.
All right, so I've got 2 things that I watched that kind of go together.
Okay.
Which one did I put in first? First one is The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston.
Okay, this is the movie I thought it was.
I think this is the first time I've watched a Kevin Costner movie outside of the podcast that Ryan didn't tell me to watch since we started the podcast.
How much baseball did he play in it?
None, but he does throw like throwing stars.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't know that was part of that.
At one point, he's just like throwing knives at
Have you
a
never
tree.
seen The Bodyguard?
I've never seen.
I had never seen The Bodyguard.
You never saw it till now?
No, this is the first time I saw it.
Huh? Okay.
Devin, I'm not going to say much about the movie. I enjoyed it. I thought
Okay.
the chemistry between Costner and Whitney Houston is phenomenal.
Okay.
I
Okay.
want to see more Whitney Houston acting. Like I know she did some other stuff after this before she passed away. I want to check that out.
Sure.
The one thing I thought I knew about this movie isn't in the movie because I've always seen the parodies of The Bodyguard, like in 30 Rock.
Oh, right.
Where Tracy's bodyguards pick him up and carry him out.
Yeah.
To "I Will Always Love You." I thought that was the scene in the movie. I thought like he's carrying her through the crowd.
Yeah.
To that song. Nope.
See, and this is why when you first joined the show and for like months we were doing stuff that like you hadn't seen because you thought you knew it because of like cultural references to it.
It's like
this is why I always rolled my eyes, because there are cultural references like to The Bodyguard that are combinations of stuff that happens in the movie into one scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will say, like in the first 5 minutes, I was like, "It's so and so, isn't it?" And my wife's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Damn it, I'm too good." But I really enjoyed it. And the one that we talked about The Bodyguard before on this podcast when we talked about the Hitman's Bodyguard because they made the parody of the poster.
Yeah.
So I also watched the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Tell me.
Sadly, I absolutely hated every second of it.
Really?
And I love the first one so much. And to me, like, this just fell flat completely.
Oh, this could have been a plane watch for me, brother. This was on the plane.
Yeah, it just wasn't
Might be
good.
on the plane on the way back.
I don't think I'm going to now. Not after this.
You should, because I'm
I
curious
should.
to get your take on it. Because I don't know if it's just me, but like, it's just not the same. Like, I don't know what changed. Like, the characters are still there, and like the elements still the same, but I just didn't enjoy it.
Was it like the plot, or like did it feel forced? Like they needed
It felt
to
forced.
Do...
I think that's the big thing.
Okay.
The only part that I was like, was at the very end, like the way they end the movie. It's like, okay, if you do a third one, I kind of want to see where they go with that part of the story.
Okay.
But I like Salma Hayek. Like, she's probably the best part of this movie, but it just felt like Samuel Jackson and Ryan Reynolds were kind of phoning it in. And in Ryan Reynolds' defense, like, he is taking a break from acting right now.
Is he?
Because he was in so much in the last 2 years. You had this, you had Free Guy, you had Red Notice.
Right.
There's
a Netflix one too, right?
There's a Netflix one, The Adam Project. He just did that musical with Will Ferrell that's coming out this year.
Oh yeah.
So that's a lot to do back to back to back.
Yeah.
So he's taking a bit of a break, which he definitely
deserves it. Yeah.
But on a side note with Ryan Reynolds, did you guys see that he posted an image of himself in his Deadpool costume Sunday night?
Did he?
Around the time the Doctor Strange trailer came out?
People think that they see Deadpool in the Doctor Strange poster. I don't think they do.
I don't think they do either.
No.
Do I think he's in it? Probably.
I would love it. I would love it if he was in it. This is how you bring him in it.
Yeah. But that post got deleted really quickly.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Probably because the costume designer from what I read, the costume designer for Multiverse of Madness was in it.
Oh, okay.
So
sure.
That would be why.
Yeah.
But yeah, very disappointed in Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Shoot.
Yeah.
That's a shame because I did really like the first one because we watched that here.
Yeah, I was not a fan.
That's a shame.
But
Oh well.
Yeah. You win some, you lose
give
some.
it a shot. Like, maybe I just wasn't in the right mood. It just didn't hit a chord for me.
I mean, this feels like a decent airplane movie. Like, it feels like it has like enough laughs that like you can pay attention to it while you're like, you know, on a
There
small
just
screen.
weren't any laughs though. Like,
Oh,
that's the
weren't
thing.
there?
Like, yeah, there are moments that I can see like, okay, this was the joke.
Yeah.
It just wasn't funny.
You have like Ryan does that. Like
That was a joke.
So
that's
the-
comedy.
That's comedy.
They did a funny.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
like at one point he protects Salma Hayek from like a gunshot
Yeah.
by pushing her by the chest, and she's like, "You like my
Oh.
boobs, don't you?" I'm like, "That's not funny."
Yeah,
Like it's like a whole weird thing.
Well, it's interesting because they set that character up so much in the first movie too, where they're
And like the big thing with this character in this one is he's like, I'm not a bodyguard anymore, and I have to like take time to be me. And like it's like the whole time he's doing journals to himself, like writing letters to
that
himself.
sounds nice though. It was like a decent setup.
It just
Like,
didn't really work for me. So
darn.
I'm curious to see what you think.
Okay,
So give it a shot.
I'll have to.
On that note, let's get into today's second topic: the power of the dog.
The power of the dog.
If I could do a good dog yelping sound, I would do that right now.
Would you really?
Just
Give
for
us your
comedy.
best. You
Come
said
on.
it. You have to
You got to do it.
now.
Just try. That was pretty good. That was like Malteser level. Like
The only good sound effect I can do is a cow.
Well,
there'll
that
be
might be.
cattle rustling scenes here.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a bit. Devin, give us your best dog.
It's not better. Oh, you went for the big one.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's the power of the dog.
It's the power. It's fair. That's fair.
I was like, what the hell is going on in here? What is this movie that they were talking about? All right, so we're talking about our first Oscar nominee for the year, because we're going to do a few of these.
Yeah.
This film was nominated for Best Performance by a Supporting Actor for 2 supporting actors. Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Achievement in Directing, Motion Picture of the Year, Actor in a Leading Role, Actress in a Supporting Role, Production Design, Sound Design, Cinematography, Film Editing, and Achievement in Music Written for Motion Pictures Original Score. So that's a lot.
That's a lot. I don't know how much of that I agree with.
I think it deserves maybe half of that.
I think there's only like 2 I don't agree with, to be fair.
So, if you haven't seen The Power of the Dog, this is the summary that IMDb gives.
I can't imagine this doing it justice.
Charismatic rancher Phil Burbank inspires fear and awe in those around him. When his brother brings home a new wife and her son, Phil torments them until he finds himself exposed to the possibility of love.
Ew.
Yeah, that does
No,
not
I
do
don't.
a good job.
I don't like
of
that
it.
read
So-
on it at all.
Let me give some context on how I saw this film.
Okay.
I saw that this film was getting a lot of award buzz early on in award season.
Okay.
And I saw that it was on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man hadn't come out yet,
Right.
and it had Doctor Strange and MJ in it. So this is like after Tick Tick Boom.
Oh no.
I was like, I'm going to give this a shot because there's enough here. Also, Nightcrawler from the X-Men prequel trilogy is in it.
Is that the son?
He's the son.
Okay.
He plays Peter, or Pete.
Pete.
Yeah. So I saw it was on Netflix. Like I have nothing else to watch right now. I'll give this a shot. So I did, and I watched this movie. It's like, okay, like good performances. I kind of see what this film's going towards. And at the end, I was like, what the hell did I just watch? Like the ending kind of caught me off guard, and we'll get into it.
Okay.
Because this is one of those films that benefits a second viewing
Yeah.
a lot. So we'll get into the reasons why for that in a minute. What did you guys think of Power of the Dog?
Could have been about 40 minutes shorter.
Okay. Okay.
So I understand and I can see why it's nominated.
Yeah.
If it wins, not going to be upset about it. Don't really have any opinions on it one way or the other. But if I had to describe this movie honestly with how I feel about it, it's a lot of nothing, a little bit of confusing setup, a little bit of nothing, and then, oh, so that's what he was doing in the woods.
Yeah.
Okay.
Devin, how about you?
Okay, I genuinely don't mean to sound like I'm like being pretentious about this. I saw a lot of this movie coming. Like from the second you see Phil being Phil, I'm like, I know what his deal is. Got it. I get that where this movie's going, and I get why people like this movie and why it's nominated. the movie, I think it's good. I think it's a very good movie. I think the movie does tension in a weird way. I think it like portrays tension in a way that not a lot of movies do, and I think some of that gets not. I think that some of that gets misconstrued as nothing, when in actuality this is supposed to be an incredibly tense scene. You're supposed to feel for every character and every action that they're doing, and everything is supposed to mean so much to you. But because I think of the score, and I think because of even the cinematography, I think that it doesn't telegraph tension the way that we're used to seeing it in movies.
I think the tension is a lot. Like I'm going to ask you a question, Ryan, and I don't mean to offend you in this in any way. Did you watch this while you were on your phone?
No.
Okay, so you just sat there and watched it.
Yeah.
Were you distracted by anything like your cats or anything while you were watching it?
No. Honestly, my thought was how much of this movie is not about awkward situations.
Okay. Because
Right, and you don't like awkward situations.
I'm not a big fan of like that kind of stuff because I mean, granted, look, I was getting pulled into the movie.
Okay.
I was. It's just this movie suffered from one of the aspects of like Western type movies, cowboy type movies that I can't stand, and that's the like watching the cowboy walk 30 seconds out to the ranch. And then watching him kind of think to himself.
I wouldn't even call this a Western, though.
But there were still those shots in it.
It's the setting. I think that's just the art house film aspect
Which,
of
I mean,
this.
I thought to myself about halfway through this, yep, this definitely feels like a Sundance movie.
Yeah, I mean, fair. It's fair, because it definitely has that. I mean, so the book was based on literature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Power of the Dog is part of the American literary canon. I think this is the first time it's been adapted to film directly like this. And because I knew that going into it, I knew how it was telegraphing what it's telegraphing, right? Because I've read a lot of American literature. I kind of got what it was doing. I think that the setting was important because the setting helped to develop Phil. And I think Phil ended up being a product of his setting. And I think that became the problem. Like, I think that it had to be cowboys because Phil had to be a cowboy. And Phil couldn't be who Phil...
And that's fine.
And Phil couldn't be who Phil was.
Yeah.
So I think it was as much a commentary on, like, masculinity, especially during that time of hypermasculinity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you had to put it there for that reason. I think that maybe it would have worked in, like, a gangster setting. Maybe. Like, as well. But, like, I would have rather have seen a Western, especially with the type of views that we got, than, like, this in a gangster movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand... when it comes to like this story being told and the time period that it was, is fine. I'm fine with that. Even with my misgivings with the whole, that era of American history and that culture that we had in those parts of the country. Besides all of my issues with that, I understand that this story is best told in that structure. Yeah. And that's fine. When you said that it was one of those things, when you mentioned about how Phil and you kind of like you saw where things were going as things started like tailing off, or as things were being done at the start of the film, explaining the characters, I had that same thing.
Okay, good. So you were
and
it telegraphs it all pretty loudly.
Yeah, like I mean you've got Phil. You've got Phil doing, you've got Phil being Phil, and then you have his brother pretty much just being completely agitated and annoyed by his brother. And I would say it was probably when, and I'm just going to come out and say it, when his wife starts drinking, and the way that Pete was getting treated. That's when I was like, okay, something's going to happen to Phil. Yeah. And then when Pete goes out and finds the dead cattle, so, but before I go any further, I know what ropes are made out of. I know what sinew is. My grandfather was a cattle farmer in Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
So I know this stuff.
You have much broader of a connection than I do.
As soon as they showed him like go up to the cow, especially after them showing him like do the crap to the rabbit that he was doing, I was like, okay, I think I know where this is going, and it went right there.
Well, let's save that for a little bit,
good.
because I don't want to get too spoiler heavy
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
if people haven't seen it. Let's talk a bit about the performances. We talked a lot about Phil, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. What did you think of his performance in this? Because I definitely saw way more Benedict Cumberbatch in this than I ever thought I'd see. in Doctor Strange.
Oh my gosh, me too. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
So I liked his performance in this.
Got to see his Benedict.
Yeah.
Ow.
His performance in this was great.
Yeah.
It really was.
liked
I
it?
can understand why because he's up for Best Actor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could totally understand why he's nominated. I could totally see him winning this. I'm going to assume you're going to have us see some of the others.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So I'm definitely going to put this. Granted, it's the first one I've seen. It's at the top of my list. We'll see if it stays. But I have to say, he really got me into hating the character, which is what you're supposed to do. To a point. I mean, you're supposed to feel pity for him too, but at the same time, yeah. What's the whistling for?
That's what he did.
It's the song that he torments her with. Like she's trying to play on the piano.
Yeah, see, whistling the tune compared to hearing the banjo, I'm not going to pick up on that.
Well, he whistled it too.
Yeah.
Oh, I
he-
didn't.
yeah.
I
He-
remember the banjo playing.
I think he does such a great job of being manipulative in this
Yeah.
film, and he's so like, is cunning the right word?
Yeah. Cunning. I think cunning
He's
could
a
be the right
method
word.
actor, right?
I think so.
I'd hate to be on that set.
I don't think him and Kristen Dunst got along.
I
would
can't
not be
imagine they
surprised.
did.
It's called acting for a reason.
It's fair. It's fair. Okay, so I think the part that surprised me the most about him is when you find out that Phil, like, was like top of his class in university, and he wasn't like an old redneck ranch hand his entire life. That part of it surprised me because of how well his performance was up until this point. But I'm going to be entirely honest. The fact that it was Benedict Cumberbatch made me not fully believe that he was just a jerk. Because the fact that it was Benedict Cumberbatch makes me go, okay, he's not going to accept this role unless it's a deeper role than just like he's going to be a jerk that everyone plays off of. And I think for some reason that ruined it a bit for me.
I mean, honestly, I think Benedict Cumberbatch is kind of known for playing a jerk, though.
Is he?
Sherlock's not a nice guy.
The imagination
Doctor Strange
game.
is kind of a dick.
Yeah, but I mean, all of them in that are like, they're the jerks with the heart of gold. Like, they're the jerks that, like, yeah, they're a jerk, but you know that they're right in the end. And, like, that's just kind of how, I mean, Smaug, I guess, is, like, the one character
Imagination
he played.
game.
Con.
Okay, Confair. I haven't seen Imagination Game.
The one
Imitation
where...
Game.
I have seen that one.
Imitation Game.
Imitation game, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, in that one, he's a jerk with a point. Like,
Yeah, I know,
he's
but-
always a jerk with a point.
Yeah, I know, but he's still just a pure jerk.
With a point.
Well, I think
Every jerk has a point.
so.
Part of being a jerk.
Do you not think he has motivations to act the way he does in this?
I think he has the motive. I think because he's Benedict Cumberbatch, I put the motive in, and maybe this is just my man crush on Benedict Cumberbatch, where like I saw him and I'm like, he can't be a bad guy. He's good old Benny Cumberbatch. But like I think because he was such a brooding like brr, 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 like they tried to make him a one-note character for so long that I went, okay, well he's not going to play a one-note character. Like he's going to have some depth. I'm waiting for the depth.
And then it happens.
But because of that, it got me wanting to read into his performance more, and maybe too because I know that he was nominated, right? And I know that the Academy's not going to nominate somebody who's just a jerk the whole movie.
I mean, it worked for Meryl Streep and everything.
Fair. But I was like, okay, this has got to be a layered performance. We're gonna understand why he's like this later, and I was right, and I think for me that telegraphed it. I think.
Okay. I think so. I looked it up. Like, Kirsten Dunst was method in this too. Like she was so into her character. The two of them did not speak on set.
Oh wow, good for them.
What do you think of her performance in this?
Loved it.
I liked it.
It's different for her, and I think she's done some very interesting choices since Fargo. And I haven't seen her Showtime show.
What's that one?
I forget what it's called. It has to do with like aerobics or something.
Oh,
In
weird.
Florida.
I don't know about this one.
I'll look it up. But I really like her performance in this because she plays like I don't even know how would you describe her performance in this? On Becoming a God in Central Florida. That's the name of her show.
Is that based on like the cult from Central Florida?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
To me, it was, I almost got her, like, she says that she never drank before, but I almost got, like, the feeling, like, if this movie would have been done now on, like, a cattle farm
Yeah.
somewhere, like, but it was, like, 2020, like, I feel like they would have made that character more of, like, I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Sure.
Type, because of how it affects her. That's how I feel like she took to the role of, like, yes, we're going to have this character. She's never really drank before. She hates alcohol, and when she drinks alcohol, she goes off the rails.
Yeah.
I don't really think she really goes off the rails, though.
Well, I mean, she's drinking to handle Phil. She's
Yeah.
drinking to handle him, and she feels like she has to drink all of the time to do it because he's there all the time, which causes her to, again, like, sneak alcohol everywhere, which to me is going off the rails.
It's a defense mechanism.
It is.
That was also a quote from Spider-Man.
So, I mean, to me, that is going off the rails. Like,
Okay.
just not being able to control it at one given point.
For me, some of her subtler stuff in this was the best part of it, where, especially when they have that dinner party, where the two really want Phil to show up. I actually missed who they are, those two. Do you guys remember who they were?
There was their parents and then the governor and his wife.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so the governor and his wife were, like, gushing about Phil, and we're, like, really dismissive of his brother and of him and of her. And, like, that scene's one of my favorite in the movie because you watch her, like, hopeful and excited when it starts, and then you watch her slowly breaking. And I think that's, like, her turning point in the movie where she starts becoming more of an alcoholic. And it's just devastating. But that's one of the things that I think they do the tension in a weird way. Because when she's sitting down at the piano to play, that's a very tense scene. But I don't think it's telegraphed in a way a lot of movies would make that, like, normally.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, it's okay, fine. Like, you watch her practice for hours for this stupid thing so she can impress them. And then she fails at it. And, like, what does that feel like? And I feel like if it was a movie that was edited any differently, there would be this, like big gong hit or, like, big emotion. You, like, cut to her crying.
I think the film does a really good job of showing, like, why she's in the mental state that she is in.
Yeah.
Because the Benedict Cumberbatch performance, like, just, he doesn't even have to say anything. Just the way he looks at her and she looks back at him. Like, it's such a look of disdain. And I think it's so powerful with how he treats her. Like, it works so well to tell both of their stories. And, like, what his motivations are for her, like, it's just absolutely devastating to her whole way of life.
Yeah. The more I talk about this movie, the more I like it. I'm going to be honest. Like, because the more you guys are making me remember, like, the parts of the performances that I thought were really great. But I think I'd have a hard time recommending this movie to just anyone. Like,
yeah, and, like, I saw this and I had no one to talk about it to.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this was nominated for all the Oscars. Let's talk about
Well,
it.
absolutely, yeah.
Jesse Plemons doesn't really do much in this for me. Like,
I love Jesse Plemons, though. I just love Jesse Plemons.
We're talking about the brother, right?
Yeah, the brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that
I liked him in Antlers.
let's play a game.
I don't know Antlers.
Let's play a game.
Okay.
Devin, can you name the movies in the top four, like, known for Jesse Plemons? Because we have done... Hold on, where did it go? I hate my phone. We have done 2 of them. I know you have seen 3 of them.
The Breaking
You've
Bad
seen
movie.
3 out of the 4. No.
He's in it.
He's in it, but what is under his known for?
Okay, Game Night.
Yes.
Shoot. What else is he in? That's all I can think of right now is Game Night.
Well, what are we talking about?
Oh, this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Irishman.
I haven't seen
I
that one.
haven't seen that either.
Okay.
But I know you've seen this. Battleship.
He's in Battleship?
Yeah.
Who is he in Battleship? I don't remember this movie much, by the way.
He plays C7.
Does he? Oh. I'd have believed it. Have you seen Battleship, Ryan?
No.
We next live stream we're all together. We'll have to do battle shots.
We'll have to and watch the movie.
Yeah. For me, like he's good in this. Like one of you said that he comes off annoyed at his brother. I thought he put up with a lot with his brother. Like he doesn't really address anything.
You can be annoyed by something, but not like tell someone off at the same time.
I think it was to the point though where he let so much go that he was complicit in it.
Yeah, but you could still tell it was annoying him.
Yeah, but at a certain point, like before she passes out, I think there was many times where he could have put a stop to the behavior of Phil towards his wife, towards Rose.
True, there could have been, and I think, and this goes into like at the beginning of the movie, he is quiet. He doesn't talk to Phil. Phil tries to get him to talk, and he won't, and he gets upset about it. That's where his brother is getting complicit in it. Mm-hmm. He's just like, he doesn't see it anymore. But he's still annoyed by it. You can see it in his face, especially during that dinner at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then getting involved with Rose, he's distracted, and it's like he has someone else in his life, so he can actually like have something that's outside of Phil. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why he kind of starts to ignore Phil's, grumpiness, mm-hmm. for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Towards Rose, because he has Rose there, and that's what he's like, and that's who he's and that's who he's dedicated himself to. But I feel like what got him to like get up the nerve to just drive out to where her like inn was, to where her like restaurant was in the first place, mm-hmm. was to get away from Phil. Like the fact that Phil has been just bothering him so much, he got, that's what kind of gave him the like, the willpower to, from being this like quiet person we meet at the very start, to being someone that just goes up and knocks on his crush's, back door and goes, "Hey, I'm just here to visit."
Yeah. I think he's a restless guy. I think that's what it is. I think when we see him at the beginning of the movie, and it took me a while to like understand what he was doing. I think at the beginning of the movie, we see him so bored with cattle rustling and owning mm-hmm. the farm and running it. I think he's so over it, and I think he's looking for the next obsession. I think that, what's her name, Rose?
Yeah. Rose.
I think Rose becomes his next obsession, and by the end of the movie, we've seen him moved on. Because at some point, you watch it, you hear Rose say, well, he's out in town this week, so it's just us and Phil. And either the last part of the movie takes place in a single week where he's just gone, or he's just gone all the time because he's moved on to his next obsession. It is no longer Rose. She didn't quite fill whatever void that he's looking to fill. So he's now moved on to something. He's now bored and done with Phil, doesn't care. He's bored and done with Rose, doesn't care. They're kind of all up to their thing. But he feels that he has to protect Rose because it's the thing that he's left behind, and so he has to protect Phil.
See, I have trouble believing that, because by the end of this, like, he's the one who, like, talks about her not being well.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one who is like he finally takes a stand for her. Mm-hmm. So I think he does still care.
Okay.
But I because he is there for the last part of this movie, like he's mm-hmm. still running the ranch, like that morning he's asking where Phil is and mm-hmm. and all of this. He's the one taking him to the hospital and all
right.
that. So I think he does still care.
Yeah. And the way I took it, he was gone for a week.
Okay.
That's
and he was
how
just
I
gone
see
for
the
the week.
whole
Because they said that, and I was like, well, he should be back by now at some point. And, like, he just kept not showing up. And I didn't know if that was just, like, it took place over a week or, like, he just, like,
because
moved
there
on.
were scenes where his brother was back. Mm-hmm. And then they show Phil going out to, like, the rest of the cattle hands. And they're teaching Pete how to ride.
Got it. Okay. Yep, I remember that. Yeah.
But in between that, like, the father does come back. I mean, not the father, but the brother does come back because Phil says how long have you had him like this, and he said about 2 weeks
Got it.
or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
along
so they
that
do
road.
like talk about passage of time there.
Yeah.
I think I like stuff like this though. I like movies that do stuff like this, and where like it literally invites discussion later about it. I think because like you can tell that there's stuff going on kind of on either side of the movie, kind of before and after, that we're not privy to, but you get based on characters' actions. I think that they leave enough that's kind of vague and metaphor, kind of latent in the movie, that they want you to go out and talk to somebody about what you've seen to see if you got the same thing, right? And I think I do enjoy that a lot. Where like, because there's sometimes we talk about movies and I'm just like, did you guys like it? Yeah. Did you guys think it was funny? Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters. Not even Ghostbusters. I mean, it was the Stripes talk that we had. I love Stripes, but once we got to the fact that we all liked it, we all thought it was funny, we all liked Bill Murray in it. Like, I don't know what else to talk about Stripes. But like in this one, we've talked about the movie for how long? We haven't talked about what the power of the dog was. And we haven't talked about...
We haven't talked about the sun.
We haven't talked about the sun even at all.
Yeah.
But there's so much to unpack about the movie, and I think I like that. Because I like that in the age of COVID, where like everybody's kind of like huddled together, I like something that's going to invite communication, I think.
Yeah. So let's move on to the final nominee for an acting category from this film. Cody Smith McPhee, who plays Peter, the son who is brought into this ranch life and sees his mom being tortured and has like a confrontation with Phil from the get-go.
Yeah.
But then is brought under Phil's wing to train to be a ranch hand. What did you think of his performance? Because on the second viewing, I picked up on a lot more with his performance.
Did you?
Knowing what was going to happen, where his character was going, that I was like, okay, like this makes a lot more sense now. Because the first time I was like, wait, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really understand it. Seeing it the second time, his storyline makes a lot more sense the second time, at least for me.
Okay.
But what did you guys think?
To me, he was the best part of the movie.
Was he?
Yeah, because he was the one that had me guessing a lot about like who he was as a person and his personality. And even though he's not in like at the beginning, they kind of like slowly get through like the relationship between the brother and Rose, and then what to do with the son and Phil's interpretation of him. And that's what kind of made me focus on the son a bit more than I probably would have normally. But like him coming back, the whole thing with the rabbit, and seeing him doing the things he was doing, it was like, there's something going on with this guy. And there were like little things that were just kind of like adding up. Like they show that he knows about the drinking.
Yep.
Like shoving the bottle back under the pillow. The fact that like whenever he had his interactions with Phil, it was less bonding and more like, give me information. Give me information. And like that's what I picked up on. And then there was stuff with like and then there was stuff with other things that it was like, okay, this is starting to get a little bit more nefarious.
Right.
Than, what this really should be.
Devin, how about you?
I mean, his performance made me hate the IMDb description of this, to be fair. Like, because it ended up feeling more nefarious, where, like, you could tell that, like, like Ryan said, like, literally his investment in this is, like, to protect his mom.
Yeah.
And his investment is to kind of gain insight where he can't.
Yeah.
You can see that he's a deep thinker. You can see that he's artistic. I mean, you can see that he's deeply talented. Like the first shot that he's in, he has this gorgeous picture that he's drawn.
Yeah.
And you can see that he's in a situation where he's against the grain. And you can also see that it affects his mom and people around him more than it affects him.
Even the way he interacts with people around him outside of his family. Because I would say the three of them that we've already talked about are his family.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you guys remember what the first lines of this film are?
I don't know.
It's in voiceover. When my father passed, I wanted nothing more than my mother's happiness. For what kind of man would I be if I didn't help my mother, if I did not save her?
Oh, I forgot about that.
I did too until the second viewing.
I like that.
Oh, that's what this movie is.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And it does such a great job. Like, if you're not paying attention to it,
Yeah.
It gives you everything you need to know about what's going to happen in the first 5 minutes. It gives you that, and it gives you the anthrax.
It does.
See, that's the point I've been trying to avoid this whole time.
Yeah.
That's the point I've been...
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't understand the anthrax of it all the first time. Like,
Right.
I didn't understand how that happened. But then I picked up on it. Like, okay, so the disease hides are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that, like, I was like, okay, so wait. I was like, kind of putting it together the first time. I was like, okay, so what's that gonna do to him?
Right.
Because those are like, why is he giving him those dead hives from the mountain?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I was so taken aback, like when they take him to the hospital, and the next scene they're looking at caskets. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Yeah, like that. This is what happened.
Because so he takes the hide from the animal on the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brings it back. His mom, unbeknownst to him, like just out of circumstance, gets rid of all the other hides.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for him to finish the rope that he's making for Peter,
He needs that specific
he
hide.
needs those hides.
Which is funny because regardless of how many hides were still there or not, his speech to Phil doesn't change at the end. Because him asking for Phil to use the hide that he specifically had has to do with, like, he's understood Phil enough at this point that he knows that if he says, hey, I want to be like you, I respect you, and this is my gift to you to finish this for me.
I think a lot of it has to do with the what is it, Bronco
Henry or something? Or...
Yeah.
It's BH.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with him trying to be that for somebody else and kind of grooming him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's creepy.
I mean, but it was manipulation on both sides.
Yeah, it was.
And that's...
And the guy that's going to end up the serial killer one.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, like, that's such a subtle performance on both of their parts. Like, I feel like a different movie would have just really broadcasted it. You know what I mean? Like...
So the way that all the chess pieces are being played, you kind of feel for like Kirsten Dunst's character is in the right. Like she's worried that he's going to take him up on that and kill him just to spite her.
Yeah.
Just to make her even crazier. But at the same time, her son is like playing this long game to protect her.
Yep.
And it's so well executed that I enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah, Again, the more we talk about this movie, the more I want to rewatch the movie, and the more I think I really like this movie.
I would definitely recommend watching this again.
Especially if you picked up on everything more, because there were definitely bits, especially when you guys were talking about it, that I know that I missed. Like,
the thing is too, like with me, there was a lot of stuff in this because my grandfather was a cattle rancher.
Yeah,
there was a lot of this that I just seeing the equipment, seeing what they were doing, knowing what they were doing, and hearing key things.
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to, like, when a cow dies, like, just gets sick.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, you stay away from it.
You don't touch it.
You keep the other cows away from it.
Yeah.
You do what you can until you find out exactly what that cow died of, so you know how to treat the other cows.
Yep.
And back then, you just assumed every cow had anthrax, especially, given that time period where they were in the country.
Right.
It's a given. You stay away from it. Let the crows take it. Let the wild animals at it. That's fine. And then it was just one of those things. I mean, and then should I just say it? The scene that, like,
yeah, please.
That like that like.
I mean, I think we're deep enough into it that you could just say it.
When they showed the son ride out on his own.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, they've established that he's new to this.
Yeah.
So either he's riding out on his own as kind of like the way in the military, the reason why drill sergeants and drill instructors are so hard on you, they're wanting you to hate them so that you prove them wrong.
Right.
It's that whole thing. So I'm like, okay, so either he's doing that, but that's not the kind of relationship he has with him, or he's doing something else.
Right.
And then they show him come across the dead cattle. And they've already showed a dead cattle and mentioned the anthrax.
Yep.
Again, the whole Chekhov's gun thing that I've learned talking with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it is,
okay,
though.
So that's what's happening here. And then they get to the point of, like, him using sinew to make the rope. And I'm like,
well, and they did that even. I mean, they telegraphed it even more when they showed Benedict Cumberbatch like castrating that bull without gloves on, and he cut himself.
yeah,
And you're like, got it. He's really reckless with his hands. Like,
Yeah.
He'll just do this and cut himself because he doesn't take care of himself.
yeah.
And he calls it manly.
Yeah, and so that's where, like, that's kind of where, like, I started picking up on, like, the son and, like, realizing, like, hang on a second, he's pulling information out of Phil. He's not trying to be an apprentice here. Like, this is recon that he's doing. He's trying to figure out a way to pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
And then, to me, the telegraphing part is when they telegraph the rope at the end. That's basically a whip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a rope, it's a whip. But yeah, like that's just one of those things where it was like, man, that's like this long 2 hours to get to an ending like this.
I don't
long.
know. I think it's earned. I really do.
That's fine. That's I think my issue might be more of a personal thing.
Sure.
When it comes to like art house type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was in graphic design and general just art classes from junior year of high school all the way through when I was going to college.
Mm-hmm.
So I took like art history classes, classical art classes, photography classes. Both of my grandparents on my mom's side were art teachers.
Oh, wow.
High school art teachers. And then one of the two classes I had in college was like stage play.
Yeah.
So, and half of the one class was like art film,
Sure.
like type stuff. So whenever I see this stuff that's like truly like like art housey,
Yeah.
I kind of roll my eyes a little bit because like I've seen this stuff, I learned about it, like dramatic pause, the right angle, the right lighting, like and all this other stuff. It plays in my head. And that's why I'm more of like a movie person for like the fun aspect of it.
Sure.
And that's why there's very few like art house movies that I really, really, really like.
Well,
and I might actually pick one for my pick coming up.
Oh, please
Okay.
do.
Well, Ryan, if you look behind you, I have a degree in film and video.
No, I know.
And
I know.
I learned all this stuff.
No, I know.
So
I
I'm
know.
gonna bring the art house films every once in a while.
No. And
Good.
the thing is, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's just like how Devin has like his little quirks when it comes to like certain types of
Oh,
movies
yeah.
that like you just have that thing that you have to kind of like fight through a little
Yeah.
bit.
That's
like,
you
like
are.
the movie, like
Like-
MacGruber or
Like any movie. It's just it's one of those things where it's like I see that this thing's been nominated for Best Picture and I've never even heard of this thing before.
Well,
Like it's
I told
that
you,
type of thing.
I told you guys this before the show. I think this is the first year I'm going to get to watch all of the Best Picture nominees before the Oscars.
Good.
Yeah.
So, before we move on to who we think is going to win, or who we think out of this cast is going to have the best odds of winning, Devin, you brought up what we thought the power of the dog was.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the power of the dog is? Or do you know?
I don't know. I don't. So, because that was one of the things that shocked me the most about the movie was specifically what the power of the dog was. Because I was like, all right, they're gonna say it, and they said it at the very end, because it was the Bible passage that he read. You saw that he saw the silhouette of the dog in the mountain. He saw like the barking dog, and then in my favorite scene, you see what looks like a pack of wolves coming off the mountain in shadow, just before Phil's about to finish the rope. So like, Phil's about to finish the rope. So like, I liked that. My thought was that the power of the dog was essentially the power of like thinking ahead or something like that. Like, because essentially like, because everybody's looking at the mountain essentially and was saying like, oh, it's just a mountain, or are they looking for a specific animal? But no, they were taking in the bigger picture. And the power of the dog was like taking in the bigger picture and not focusing on kind of a small aspect of it. Like Phil was focused on Bronco Henry, or like not focusing on a small part of it. Like a lot of people were like, oh, it's definitely an animal up there. But the other guy, the son was able to take in the fuller picture of it all and was able to kind of see everything from it. That's what I thought power of the dog was, but I don't know. I genuinely I want someone to explain it to me.
I just think it's an overextended way of saying predator.
Could be.
I mean, the psalm that they quote is Deliver my soul from the sword, my darling, from the power of the dog. I mean, I think Ryan kind of gets it right. Like the deliver my soul from the sword, deliver my soul from the power of the dog. Like deliver my darling from the power of the dog. Like the beast that, like I think the beast, like the dog is a stand-in for a beast,
Sure,
or a predator. Like I think that kind of fits.
and that like Phil ends up being the predator there.
Yeah.
Because Phil.
Well, because he absolutely is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, he is, because like all of the other hands never saw it.
Mm-hmm.
They were looking at the mountain. Phil knew because I mean Phil was probably telling him like there's something up there.
Yeah.
There's something up there and you'll see it. And so they're all looking for something,
Like
and
an
they've
animal or
all kind
something.
of narrowed it down that it's got to be an animal.
Yeah.
And this is probably from like years of like doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then because Phil's like, you saw that? You just saw that now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
like
think
that whole thing.
I think that moment is also like that's pure awe in that moment that he actually saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also a good moment of, like, I think that's like the turning point for their story. Like that's where he buys into Peter as like completely. Like he completely brings him in under his wing to teach him how to ride, teach him how, like, make him this rope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's already started it, but I think that's the point where he becomes fully committed to it.
Yeah.
And like trades over his trust. So
Was that a manipulation on the son's end? You think?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it wasn't like a genuine moment of
Because that's
connection.
also the only time that I remember seeing a shadow of what they were talking about on the mountain.
Yeah, because that one was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
hey, shout out to our friend Jared over at Rum Runners Podcast, who just let us know that you can watch our stream live on our new site.
No way!
So,
Hey,
and we're playing there too as
very
well.
cool. Thanks, Jared.
So, yeah, so hopefully he heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the 4 acting performances here
Yes.
that were all nominated for Academy Awards. If you had to choose one of these performances to win an award, which one would you give it to?
Kristen Dunst.
Okay, why?
I think it's a dinner scene for me. I think the acting is done so well. Like, there's that moment where someone's like, I forget the son's name. The
Peter.
Not the son, sorry, the brother.
Oh, Jesse Plemons.
Yeah, Jesse, where someone's like, I don't want his concoction or something like that, and you literally watch her face drop, and like I just George, yeah, she's like, I don't want George's concoction, and like you watch her face drop, and you watch her try so hard to please these people and it not working, and then her own kind of will breaking throughout the movie that it's really heartbreaking, and like I loved it. I thought her performance was spot on, and like I think I liked it more than I liked Benedict Cumberbatch's.
Okay, Ryan, how about you?
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going with the son.
Are you going with the son? He
yeah,
was my like runner up for that one.
Cody Smith McPhee, I think, steals this movie.
Yeah.
It's such a subtle performance that by the end of it, you're like, oh, that's what he was doing?
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming, but now that I think about it, that makes total sense. Like, wow, that's really well done. And I think Benedict Cumberbatch is, like, his performance is good. It's a little cartoony.
Yeah, it is. 100%.
And like he'll like I haven't seen the other acting performances for the lead actor, but I think out of the supporting actors in here, I think the son gets it over Jesse Plemons because they're going up against each other.
Sure.
Two birds, one stone for acting, supporting actor. That's my thoughts.
Isn't Andrew Garfield up for Tick Tick Boom?
For lead actor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does he get it over Benedict Cumberbatch?
Absolutely.
I completely agree.
Oh, okay, well then, yeah.
Yeah, you think he gets it over? Yeah.
I totally forgot that he was up for that.
Yeah.
As of right now, he's my lead for that award.
Yeah.
So,
Me too, especially since I just rewatched that movie this weekend.
Yeah.
And absolutely.
Anything else on Power of the Dog before we wrap this up?
No, you guys talked me into liking this movie more. I liked it when it started. I need to watch it again. You talked me into liking it more. Good job.
Barky
All right.
bark. Bark, bark, bark. It's like, I appreciate everything that this movie was doing. I like the actors in it. It's just 40 minutes can just be, as far as I'm concerned, just be like,
Is that my camera? think that was my camera making a noise.
I mean, we're still good, right?
Yeah, we're still good.
Oh.
I don't know. That was weird.
No.
All
right. Well, we're good.
That was the film resetting in my completely digital camera. I think that does it for our episode.
I think so.
It's been a long day, guys.
Yeah.
We did some stuff before the podcast. If you want to see some of it, make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
Because it may or may not have dealt a lot with photos.
Hint.
Yeah. And if you're watching on Twitch, go ahead and hit that follow button. We're really close to getting to our goal of 50 followers.
We're so close, please.
So follow us there. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button for more content coming soon. We've got some fun things planned for the Academy Awards when they air. We'll be doing a live watch along where you'll get our commentary on the Oscars as they happen.
Mm-hmm.
You can visit our website, rumrunnerspodcastnetwork.com/you have to watch this podcast to catch up on older episodes of the show and to watch our live streams live or our previous shows. You can listen to You Have to Watch This podcast on all major podcasting platforms. I think that's about it, right?
I think so, right? Yeah.
All right. Well, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And we will see you next week. Oh, wait. We didn't talk about what our pick is for next week.
Oh, what's our pick for next week?
Yeah, Ryan, it's your turn.
Okay,
what are you
so
gonna watch?
Because I don't want to run through my my revenge to you guys, and then two, the whole Predator thing.
Yeah.
I'm throwing in a random movie here.
Good.
And again, it's an art house film.
Okay,
So
well,
it's one of the ones that
is it something for the Oscars this year? Because that's what we're doing.
It's not something for the Oscars,
Oh.
but it is art housey.
Okay.
And this gets into the whole art house stuff that I do like.
Are we not doing the Oscars for this year then?
I was going to do one. My one is an Oscar category.
Okay.
I don't have any movies that are in the
Okay.
Oscars that I've seen.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Okay,
that's
that's
where...
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do a double feature and make it a shorter one. Next
Perfect.
Week too.
Okay. Blue Ruin.
I've never heard of it.
I don't know anything about this movie. I'm so excited.
I'm not going to tell you anything about it.
No?
Blue Ruin.
Not even a teaser?
Fine.
Yes.
Blue
Okay, tell me.
Ruin is pretty much like the name of the car that the main character uses.
Good. Okay.
Okay. I think we're gonna do a mini Oscar thing next week
Okay, good.
because I'm gonna steal yours.
Do it.
I'm gonna
do
watch
it.
Encanto.
Okay,
next
you
week.
should.
You guys
You
have
absolutely-
already seen it. We'll
yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
Okay,
Yeah,
you absolutely should. I want to rewatch it anyway. So
Yeah.
So Blue Ruin and Encanto.
Blue Ruin and Encanto.
Love it.
Encanto would just be part of the we watch this. I think.
Okay,
We'll
perfect.
keep it short
Yeah.
and talk about Ryan's pick.
I am excited.
All right. Yeah. Oh, all right. So, Blue Ruin.
Blue
Blue
Ruin.
Ruin. Okay.
All right.
So, Blue and then Ruin.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, let's watch that next week. We'll watch that for next week. So
Perfect.
until next time, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And we will see you next week, where we will be talking about Bruno.
Oh. Oh.